Make sure where it say something. Did you say something?
Oh yeah. This is welcome.
FalcoX Fridays GPS configurator. And make sure you put a title too. All right, I'm going live on this one. The video is like frozen.
Yeah, it's on the same one.
We gotta delete this.
Just Hershey. It's okay.
I thought the capture cards would be better, but it seems.
Who's calling someone?
Rand Edward Gamble is calling me.
Oh my god.
Is the video working?
Yeah.
It's moving on that now. At least.
I think we're getting closer. Oh, Nick, you're live. I think we're doing good now. Ask him if it's working. Ask him.
Is this on here or is this on here?
No, on there.
No, I'm trying to see. What up?
Now you're gonna.
You don't have to.
And he's gone.
On the live stream.
Is it? Mine's not live though.
Yes, you're live.
I haven't hit go live.
Well, hit go live. The other ones are live.
Hold on, I gotta put a title in, man.
Hold on 1 second. Nick is finishing his title.
I'm just, getting that last level on RuneScape done, and then we'll start the live stream.
Did you put a title in? That was the main thing.
I'm getting there. I'm going chronologically down.
Okay. I'm gonna stop this recording and start it.
Oh, I can't put emojis for my death. Oh, I can't do a dolphin emoji. Oh well. All right, whatever. We're going live.
Did you put a title?
Yep.
Oh, perfect.
FalcoX Friday.
All right.
Where's my headphones?
Do we have people in there, sweetie? Is it working
Oh,
properly?
we're
This time?
live again.
It sure looks like. The video's
Oh my
actually
God!
working.
Look at that! I can
There's
see.
11 on here.
Okay, guys. So we're sending
And
4K
Whoa.
before. We've gone down to 1920 by 1080.
Yep.
Should be good.
Look at that! Oh, we are back, and the video is working, and the dogs
All right.
definitely look scared.
Let's ask. So let us know if the video is working good. If so, we are going to hopefully start.
Yeah, hopefully this time. But yeah, no, looks good on there. Looks good on there. Looks good up there.
All right. So let's give people a few minutes to come in here,
catch up.
and
Let
then
everyone,
we're
let
gonna
everyone
go over some
acclimate
stuff.
to the first Falco Friday in
In
months.
many Fridays. Many Fridays. And this
actually
might
on
be the second
Friday.
Taco Friday to actually be on Friday.
I think it is.
Oh yeah.
Official Falco Friday.
I think we deserve a round of applause.
Yeah, you know what? I feel like, to be fair, like if you delay it a little bit after Friday, it does technically become more accurate because things change from Friday to Sunday usually.
That's well, if we record it on Friday, it's sometimes difficult to get it up on Friday.
Yes. And sometimes you record it on Friday, then we upload it on Saturday, and then actually like major things changed overnight since we've done it. We're like, should we just reshoot it or should we do it and put this on next Falco Friday?
So as you guys may have noticed, Nick is here. He's actually in Arizona. I think he's going to be spending a decent amount of time here. Is that correct, Nick?
Oh, yeah. So overall, we're spending a good amount of time here in Phoenix. But for right now, I've got another week and a half or so.
He actually has DRL.
Indeed. If anyone's in the Phoenix area, next Sunday, Chase Field, DRL, we're having a live event. If you guys want to come out, get your tickets on Ticketmaster right now. Just, putting that out there. It is actually be super sick. We just got the course tonight or this morning when I woke up. And it's going to be sick. So you guys are going to have a really fun time.
I don't know where we're going to start here because I'm not even sure where we left off.
Yeah, exactly. It's like we almost need just read all the change log.
I
Last
think-
time it says beta would be when I left off.
I think I'm not sure
that's-
what you mean by that.
You're going to keep
12,
scrolling.
20, I think.
12:20.
Yeah, well, it says beta
Oh, I see. Yeah, he's okay. All right.
All right.
So, first, for those that you don't know, if you want the newest Falco, we've actually opened up the alphas to everyone in general. So you're going to want to go to flight1.com/alpha. Just keep in mind that your quad may self-destruct if you use this one, and we're not responsible if it chops off your fingers. But the features we're going to go over, they're in the alpha. This hasn't been rolled out beta officially yet. There's some bugs in the alpha last night, and we think we fixed them. Have you uploaded those?
Yeah.
Okay. So they've been uploaded some OSD glitches.
Did we figure out what it was?
Yeah, it had to do with the field length and because of the new GPS stuff.
Okay, that's what I was wondering if there's something like that.
Yeah, I knew the problem right away when Preston said something, so it was an easy fix. All right, so you guys may or may not know Nick is actually helping more significantly now. We've been kind of teaching him how to program for the last, what would you say, a few months?
Yeah, in that last 2-3 months or so.
Yeah, and he's actually gotten to the point where he can actually do stuff.
Oh my! I know it's weird. It's crazy. The first time that I was like, able to actually you're like, all right, let's add level mode. I could go in and I could add level mode without constantly being having to have screen share with Preston and be like, please tell me what all these things do.
Yeah, and he can actually compile, I think, and deploy a binary. That's a big step.
That was there was a very large period of time where I don't know what something happened with my make file or something, or my path wasn't right, and it would not build. I could not build a binary, and so when I would test things, I'd actually have to push all my code to the build server and wait for the build server to finish building it, and I have to download the one I just did, and it took 20 minutes. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna change this from a 6 to a 7, and then boop, push it, and 20 minutes later I could then fly it. And now it's just boop, 5 seconds, computer does it, ready to flash and fly.
And it's much easier to be able to debug live too, so I think that's a big one.
Yeah, not being able to being able to actually debug rather than having to display the debug info on the OSD and then go back to the code and then change it and then upload it and wait 20 minutes for it to build and download and flash again. So yeah, it's about 100 million times faster now.
So you guys have Nick to thank for all the GPS stuff. He's mostly doing that. And is that the main thing you're working on? I guess you did some level mode stuff.
Yeah,
as well.
all of the accelerometer angle mode stuff, dynamic filter, the new fun stuff.
He's gonna take all the credit for that.
I'll take as much credit as I can.
But he actually likes to do math, so we are making him the math nerd.
I do. It's funny because they're even things with the GPS, or even, for example, with the level stuff, return to home, I'm oh God, reading in the data and doing all that stuff. Reading in the GPS data from serial is super hard. The person's like, no. Reading serial is the easiest thing. It takes 5 lines. He's like, the real hard part is all the math of the return to home. No, the math is the easy part. The reading the serial stuff is the hard part.
We'll see when return to home is returning home.
We'll see.
Yeah. Hopefully we won't be going to China like some other drones did.
Yeah. We'll have return to home, and we're seeing the alphas. It's gonna be return to China, and then when it goes to beta, then it's return to
Actually,
home.
it's gonna be returned to my house, and I'm gonna sell you the drone back after I receive it.
That'd be interesting. Yeah, we have a set. It always returns every time you hit it. It returns back here.
So I guess the first thing, since we're already talking about this, that we added recently is the GPS. Right now, it mostly outputs the speed in the OSD, and it also outputs the GPS coordinates. So I think the main reason people would like that is you can record your OSD and then actually look at your GPS coordinates to find out where your drone is. It's updating slower right now. We're going to actually increase the speed, so the speed will be faster in terms of updating your actual speed. And the updating coordinates a little quicker, but that's the next step. We're going to add that, and then we're going to add the little arrow that points out where you are, basically, which is pretty cool. It lets you know which direction to go to find yourself, and we're going to also it'll add distance, how far from you are.
Yep. So right now it's just the most absolute basic level of GPS functionality. It's 1.2 hertz update rate. You just get your coordinates, your speed, and satellites and GPS
so
lock.
How many satellites you have locked in that?
Yeah,
stuff.
it tells you your lock status, either no lock, weak lock, or strong lock. Which are probably, now that I'm saying those words out loud, should turn it into words rather than 0, 1, and 2.
Yeah. What I mean, this isn't just for long range, which occurred to me is one cool thing about it is on your race quad, you can actually have the speed your quad is moving.
Yeah, and the GPS units are tiny nowadays.
Yeah. So,
I didn't realize it's so you can have a GPS on every quad. I'm a firm believer in that.
And we'll have a GPS soon too, and probably some other sensors built into it as well. But right now, I think the TBS GPS works well. I think we have a Race Day Quads one. I'm sure Pyroflip has one. But they're pretty much the standard GPS.
I think most of them use pretty much the same module.
Yeah, so
yeah,
they all should work.
So the only ones that I have physically tested on my quad that worked is the TBS M8 and the BN 180. But I think both of those GPSs pretty much encompass almost every protocol. So most GPSs should work, but those are the only two I can confirm with 100% certainty will work.
So if you're wondering to enable GPS, you need to actually solder to the TX3, right? No, TX4. Solder to the TX4 basically, and there's also a RX3 pad that is on the
RX4.
bottom. Or sorry, 4. They're both 4 on the bottom of the Revolt OSD. So it's a little teeny pad. It's unfortunate. Hopefully in the future flight controllers will actually have a GPS port. But it's pretty easy. Just put a little drop of hot glue on it, and hopefully it won't rip off the pad. If you rip a wire, if you put a lot of hot glue on it. So that's the biggest thing on these pads. If you yank the wire real hard, it's gonna pull off the pad.
Yeah. Oh, also another thing to note, it is the normal UART scheming. So the TX on the GPS goes to RX on the flight controller, and the RX on the GPS goes to TX on the flight controller. Because that trips some people up because they're like, wait, I have to put my receiver line for my receiver on TX. It's receiving, it's not transmitting, and it really trips people up. But the GPS uses the standard TX to RX, RX to TX.
So before we go any further, does anyone have any GPS questions? Andrea, do you see any? Preston, Nick,
It's probably gonna take a second.
related to GPS?
No, Jet asked, how hot is it here today? It was great to see Jet in here. He knows exactly how hot it is because I sent him a picture earlier asking if he's ready for the heat and DRL. It was 116 degrees Fahrenheit when I was driving over here.
But it is a nice, cool 70 degrees in here.
Yeah.
Air conditioning works really well in Arizona.
Yes, definitely.
Any GPS questions, Andrew?
Someone asked, is FL ARM planned with GPS? Essentially TCAS for drones.
Oh, later in so we could do the FLARM stuff later.
What are they talking about?
So FLARM is like the collision avoidance system
Ooh.
that like TBS uses. So you can like use basically your GPS stuff to relay coordinates, and I believe it talks to other things that use the FLARM stuff around it, and so you like not collide with airplanes and stuff like that. That's definitely something in the future we could do. I don't know personally how FLARM works exactly at this second, like how we would implement it with their current system they have, but that's definitely something that once we start working on further down and getting all the GPS functionality in, that's definitely something we could throw on the list. I didn't even think about that, but yeah, that would be actually a really handy thing to have.
I'm not sure what you would really use it for. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's not going to stop you from Henson racing.
No, it's not gonna stop him from racing, but there are some places that like some people like knowing that they're not gonna collide with a general aviation plane when they're flying. So if that floats your boat, we'll put it in.
And someone asked, did you say it's UART4 for both?
Yes, your ORT,
ORT.
USART. It's technically a USART.
Well, actually, that one is a UART.
Oh, it is UART.
Oh,
Sorry,
boom! It's a warp.
Oh, I was wrong about that. But
Warp
yes,
4.
it's 4 RX4 and TX4.
Yeah, and it's not auto detected quite yet, but
Yeah, so you're gonna have to go in the OSD and enable it as well. But that's pretty easy.
Yeah.
We'll put out a video probably specific to that, how to enable it. But for now, at least you guys know it's in there.
Oh, here's an important question. Sean Schukart, I think that's how you say his last name. Longtime listener and first-time caller. My question is, if I were going to try and smuggle 100 kilos of coke into the U.S., what would be the best way to go around it? Secretly, this is what the GPS is for, the return to home. You think someone's onto us.
It needs to make the money.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess it's a little hard. There's been a couple of people saying it's a little hard to hear you, Preston.
Oh, maybe we should.
Which Preston are we talking
You.
about? Me?
Yeah.
Pretty loud.
Oh, my earballs are bleeding when you talk.
See, they said I should be louder.
Oh boy, look at that.
I already got yelled at for being too loud earlier.
Yeah, and now you're getting yelled for being too quiet.
Well,
No, you are pretty loud, Nick.
now you're.
I'm gonna
definitely
turn you down.
No.
There.
Oh,
how's
come
this? Okay.
What?
I can't hear you. All right. How about now?
All right, how's that? How are we looking?
Pretty good.
What are we at? What that sick negative 60?
Now they can just turn up the volume overall, maybe.
I do talk loud, and I'm basically eating the microphone.
He loves this mic so much.
Someone asked, do you wire the older revolts the same?
Yes. Hopefully.
If
Well,
you
I
have,
mean,
if
I guess
you,
we haven't looked at the old revolts, to be honest.
Well, I mean, but right now, like, if it doesn't have an OSD, it's not going to be.
Yeah. Well,
Yes. So with this-
spoilers. I mean, it will, but
No, not the GPS.
well, you're not going to be able to display GPS coordinates. So I don't.
you
know
could
what
have
the point
returned
would be.
home.
but there's no return to home.
Not yet.
So the older ones, I don't know how this.
I'm
would be
pretty
useful.
sure the RX4 is broken out on the bottom. Or
But if you look at the bottom of our boards, we always break out extra pads. So you can look on the bottom there and see.
But yeah, so it'd still be UART4 on the old Revolts, but as of right now, since the old Revolts don't have OSD, the only functionalities we have right now are just displaying things on the OSD. But once Return to Home does get basically finalized, come out, then it will be UART4 for the old Revolts to get Returned to Home.
Okay. So any other questions, sweetie?
Um,
Hopefully, anyone preparing for a
haven't seen
hurricane
anything.
is everything's going okay.
Yeah, seriously. They were saying that the crazy meteorologist guy.
We
going
know.
on?
I mean, we get sunshine and more sunshine here, so we don't even think about that stuff. I think we barely get rain.
Yeah. Oh, it rained the other night. I was like freaking out.
You like that for like
yeah.
3 seconds?
Yeah, it was like a solid 30 seconds of rain, and I was
Yeah.
like, "Whoa!" I was like, "Where
and,
are
and
we?"
then and then it completely dries like an hour later.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so
I guess he was asking about older Revolt OSD, but all
they should all be the
OSD
same.
Have been the same.
Yeah, we've never changed the Revolt OSD, so anything.
And I believe it's even broken out
OSD
on
should
the
work.
millivolt.
Yeah, I think it's broken down the millivolt as well. So I mean, this may change, but for now, what we're going to with the new Falco, what kind of excites us, and I don't know, is that we're like there's one port for everything. It's going to help with confusion and problems people have. So basically, there's a receiver port, there's a GPS port, there's a VTX telemetry port. The whole using multiple ports and detecting all that stuff, it just causes confusion, and we're still like every day there's probably at least one person saying Falco doesn't work, and it's because they're using RX3.
Every day, I'd say at least every 30 minutes, I see that.
Yeah. So we're going to this. Future flight controller is not even going to list TX and RX. It's going to be like, this is your receiver port, this is your GPS port. We're not even going, because it just makes it confusing unnecessarily. And as we go to other processors, they're not even necessarily or whatever. We can actually switch around pins at will. In some newer processors, so it's kind of silly we're naming it this way. We're kind of going away from the old ways, and our goal's always been to bring in new people that haven't flown drones before, so to make it as simple for them as possible is kind of the goal, is where we're going. So that I guess that kind of summarizes the GPS. Is that about? Can't think of anything else, Nick, before we keep going?
No, yeah. So basically, it technically works now, but it's going to get really good within the next hashtag 2 weeks.
I think we're edging our way towards an official release. And what the plan for that is the Arrow and a faster update. And did we talk about anything else in the official release? Return to home, probably not.
Yeah. So the first official. Wait, you mean like a
version 1
like Falco version 1.
non-beta is our goal.
Yeah. So basically, the main points is we want to have the full 10 hertz update rate, and then we're gonna have the home return to home arrow, where it points back to where you took off from, and then that's basically the last things that off our checklist before Falco. Well, that and any bugs associated with that being fixed, and then we have version 1 of Falco.
So one thing, let's segue to the next topic. One thing that everyone's been asking for and we've been wanting to do before we go to an official release is have a configurator. Now, we're not going to have a full-fledged configurator because we like keeping the setup in the OSD. We like doing a lot of stuff in the OSD. We're going to be adding more stuff in the configurator as time goes on, but the one we're releasing is not going to have all that stuff in there. But we kind of came up with an ingenious solution. At least I think it's an ingenious solution. We wanted to do 2 things. We wanted to make sure the old non-OSD boards work. And also DJI has come out with their new thing, and they're working on putting stuff in there so we can display the OSD and control the OSD and the DJI stuff. As a matter of fact, we're going to China next week, and we're actually going to meet with DJI among other people.
In like 3 days, you're going to China.
Yeah.
Like,
we're going to the airport at 3 a.m.
Oh, I know what that's
Sunday
like.
night.
That's literally sounds like my life.
It actually sounds great because I'm going to pass out once I get on that long flight because I'm going to be so tired.
Coming back is going to suck. Going to that side of the world is awesome. It's a cakewalk. But coming back from that side of the world, that's when things go crazy.
Hopefully not. But so we came up with an ingenious solution. We created a protocol that works. What's cool about this protocol is really neat is that it works with any terminal program. We do have an application that you can use that we're going to put up right after this live stream. It works on Mac, it works on PC, but I'm more excited about working on the phone. And we've been actually working with SpeedyBee to get support of this in their application, and we'll have our own application as well. But basically, you can just plug in USB or Bluetooth, and we've been testing this. It works actually really good on the iPhone even, and it will display your OSD on the phone. So you don't even need to plug in power to your battery. You just plug it into the USB port. But it's very cool. So like if you're at a race and you want to change settings and things like that, you can just go ahead and use your phone, just plug it in, or your computer, and everything that would be on the screen when you're looking through the OSD is now on your phone or your computer or whatever. The other thing we've added right away is we've added the ability to backup and restore quads. That's something people have been asking for. So you can actually take the config from one quad, you can upload it to another quad, you can even edit it if you want. But what's cool about all this stuff too is you can use our configurator, but you can also use any terminal program because we're using something called ANSI. They're ANSI escape codes. So it's something that goes back before I started using computers to display color and to position on the screen. So it works with just about anything. I mean, if you have a Mac, you can go to terminal program and just connect to the serial port, and it just works, which is really cool to me. Or you could, of course, use the program so you can back up and restore. So expanding on this protocol, we're going to be able to do a lot of cool stuff. We're going to be able to do a lot of stuff with the configurator as well. We've added all the support for all the old stuff as well, so we can set variables and check variables and all that stuff. So that will hopefully quickly make our old configurator work, or a new version of the old configurator. And then we're going to concentrate on the phones because, to be honest, I don't want to have to take a laptop to the field. It seems stupid to me. That's why we did everything in the OSD in the first place, because I don't want to have to go to the field. But if I have to plug in my quad and not use the OSD, I think a phone sounds like a much better solution.
Yeah, I would honestly, I would love if I could have it on my phone. Like, that would be it. I would never touch. I would just only bring my phone. I've always wanted to have like a phone flasher. I just flash my phone, set up in there, and go. And I feel like there would never be any need to ever bring a laptop anywhere.
Which is the next step. You're going to actually be able to download firmware from your phone and flash it as well. So hopefully we'll hit all the check boxes. The other thing you can do now, it used to detect when you plug it in to go into DFU mode to do the flash. Now there's actually, you need to use a button, or you can type a command in the terminal if you're using a terminal. But that's how you get into DFU mode. So we're going to put that up for the new alpha, and you'll see. But honestly, I think this is the best of all worlds. You still have to use the menus in your remote right now, but like I said, we're going to expand that stuff pretty rapidly. But what's nice is that's not going to hold up the release of Falco, because the configurator is its own separate thing. If we get everything that supports the configurator in Falco, which we are probably 98% there, we can actually release it and then have a configurator follow. I think SpeedyBee is going to be one of the first ones to have some really good support on the phones. And I think we're going to end up doing our own apps as well. But who knows? Maybe SpeedyBee does such a great job, we end up just supporting them more than anything, because they are free. I don't even see how they're making money. We are meeting with them. I don't know if anyone knows this, but I think they're like a subsidiary of Runcam, or owned by Runcam. So we're meeting with them in China as well, and we're going to see how that goes. But for now, I mean, it's pretty exciting stuff that I no longer ever need a laptop to do anything, with the exception of the ESC programming, which actually, I guess you can do that on Android now. So actually, if you have an Android phone, you can do everything, which is
I'm
pretty
telling you,
darn
man,
cool.
that Android life is where it's at.
We don't have pass-through in yet. We're hoping to get that in before we do the first official release. But that's the one thing I don't want to necessarily hold us up for. But I think that is planned. I don't know if there's anything else I can think of that we want to add before the next official release. I don't know, Preston. Can you think of anything?
You mean before version 1, you're saying?
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't really think of anything big.
So the way
Maybe
this will
some
work,
more telemetry support for something.
yeah, maybe. But the way this is going to work is we're going to come out with a release candidate soon. That'll be hopefully what the real release is going to get, and hopefully the beta testers will test it really well. And then once it's beat up and we know there's no bugs, then we can go more towards a release. I guess we can go over some other changes now. But does anyone have any questions about either one of those, what we've talked about so far, before we keep going forward?
So they're asking what the timelines are for those.
The timelines, I guess.
2 weeks. Everything's 2 weeks. Always 2 weeks. You have to ask 2 weeks.
I'm gonna make code, and anytime anyone says 2 weeks, it's gonna recognize your name in the OSD, and it's gonna fly your quad into the ocean. Now that I have GPS, I think I can pull that off.
Yeah.
So that was the true motivation for the GPS.
Yeah, the master plan is to basically figure out who's flying what, and the people who start trolling too much, it just flies it right into the ocean. It's like return to
We're gonna be
ocean.
like, GoPro wrote some of our code, or actually, I think DJI did, so that's why it went to the ocean. It was going to China. But so anything else you can think of?
They say, will it be able to flash FalcoX on non-OSD boards?
Yes. So
Absolutely.
using the configurator as of today, if you use the configurator when we put it up, you can now use the non-OSD boards.
Dude, I have like a stack like this thick I found of like old Revolt V3s I was stashing away for like the end of the times. And I was like, the other day I found it. I was like, oh my God, look at all these flight controllers. And I was like, Revolt 3V3, Revolt V3. I was like, oh, no OSD boards. These are basically trash now. And now, thank God I threw them away, because I have like 6 to 10 new flight controllers I can use.
As someone that gives him free flight controllers, I like the sound of that. But as someone who sells flight controllers, I don't like the sound of that. So, but hopefully, yeah, like you can get your old quads up in the air. Of course, you know, it's going to support the OSD. You're not going to be able to see the stuff in the OSD. So if you're using GPS or anything like that, which I got to say, I wasn't a real big, like, I'm like, why do I want this? But I think the speed has sold me. Like, I want to see how fast I go.
The speed
on my quad.
speed is actually pretty cool. I was playing around with that. I mean,
Like-
if you're doing long range, I would totally.
Honestly, if I lost my quad up on a mountain, it would live on the mountain. So the long range, the GPS coordinates and that stuff to me, just, it doesn't sound as exciting.
Yeah, but see, I am someone who has lost a quad in the mountains. And if I had coordinates, I wouldn't have spent 6 hours out in the Nevada heat climbing mountains.
That's
to try
actually
and
true.
find
There
that
has
quad.
been times I've lost quads in places that
There is a Leo somewhere in Germany.
yeah. There's a Leo somewhere in Germany, and I was playing with an underpass that was under construction. Somehow we lost the quad, and then we went to use the Mavic to find it, and it was broken too. So I probably could have found that one if I knew had the GPS coordinates. So I have no idea what happened to that one.
No, it's all about
It's
all
an
about
air
those GPS coordinates.
Hopefully, some kid has it right now and it's gone to good use, because I have no idea where it went. So anything else, sweetie?
Wait, wasn't the first one about timelines?
Well, we answered the timeline. So right now, all that stuff works. I mean, anything we've talked about works. So
Yeah.
what kind of timeline do you need?
Yeah, I mean,
Other
in
than that.
general, like
For the new stuff?
timelines on anything is kind of tough because it really depends on, you know, what it is we're doing, and like
It depends on how
We
much
have to do-
Apex we need to play.
yeah.
Yeah.
And like we obviously have to work on new hardware at the same time, so there's things that, you know, come up.
And I got to
Delay
actually
some
do
things.
business too.
Yeah.
And so it just depends. Right now, Preston is doing a ton of the coding. Nick's doing some of the coding.
little itty bits.
I come in when they both get stuck and go, oh, you just got to, you know,
Yeah, when you
you need a
work your-
semicolon.
work your C magic. We're like, oh, you want to parse GPS data? Here, let's just operate on the memory
Yes.
directly. Why even read it? Just
Yeah, Nick's getting his mind blown lately with I don't even remember. I remember involving a +2 and adding some stuff, but
yep. Something about memory addresses.
we're
and just
teaching
adding to
him the true power of C.
Yeah, it is
It
definitely.
basically lets you do anything you freaking want to do anything, which is why I love it, because I love being in control of everything. But it gets a little confusing when you just start manipulating memory.
I'm used to like MATLAB and Octave, where it's just like a glorified graphing calculator. And now we're getting to the point where it's like, oh yeah, you got to manage like on the actual CPU chip, like which memory address you assign things to. Otherwise, it explodes. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay.
Which I mean, a good example was the bug we had was a memory overflow.
Oh yeah.
So there you go. If we would have not done that stupid mistake,
We'll
we
just-
even passed the length to it, but we didn't allocate more memories.
We'll
What
just use i9s on everything, and so we never have to worry about that.
happened?
put 10
I don't
gigs of
think
RAM.
that
think
helps
that
with
would-
memory overflows. They-
Yeah,
You know,
you still
they-
remember
they're almost the same.
That would be like memory allocation issues.
Oh, see, exactly. That's
Okay, but I think
my graphing calculator.
we
takes
use
care of that for me.
no dynamic memory, so that would not help us whatsoever. All right, so more questions?
Someone said GPS telemetry for Crossfire for non-OSD boards.
Not right now, and not planned at the moment. So maybe in
And-
the future.
Voice telemetry on Spectrum IX12.
Voice telemetry. What's that? Oh, is that still just radio telemetry?
I assume they just mean getting telemetry and it talks to you because I know the radios talk to you.
We're hoping to get that in before
I
we
mean,
finish.
telemetry is
To be
one of the
honest,
things, but
the one telemetry that will probably be supported would be the IX12 because I gotta say, giving props to Spectrum, the only people that actually use a bi-directional, like one wire protocol, basically.
half duplex.
Yeah, no inverted crap, which inverted was originally added by Futaba. I don't know if you know this, Nick, as kind of a copy protection type thing to make it harder to clone, and then everyone just cloned them anyways.
Then they just put an inverter on the board. We're like,
Yeah. But there's absolutely zero reason to invert the signal. They actually add an inversion chip to invert it, which makes it more costly. So it's just retarded. To be honest.
yeah, I don't. Yeah, I was looking up the other night because you're talking about the Spectrum F port, how it was inverted, but they called it normal, and then they inverted the inverted and called that inverted.
Yeah.
That was originally normal.
So normal is now inverted.
Yes,
But inverted
it's
is,
backwards.
or wait, no, inverted is now normal. I don't know.
Yes.
But yes, honestly, it makes zero sense. I don't know what kind of crack these guys smoke. But yeah, the using one wire is great because we're going slow enough that doesn't matter. So it's easy for us to implement because we have TX1, one pin for everything, and it works great. To implement telemetry for Crossfire, we'll see, but basically we're going to need RX1. I'm not sure if that's broken out.
I mean, the most difficult one, telemetry wise, is Tyrannus.
Yeah, which I will tell you on this board is probably not going to be supported in Falco because we use soft serial, which caused lots of issues. To fake the inversion, I don't know. Maybe we can make it, but with F port, we should be able to make it work. So basically, if you have a Tyrannus, you need to program your thing to use F port and bypass the inverter. That'll work. I think that's the future. F port is a much better protocol.
And as far as I can tell, I mean, they seem to be trying to move to that.
Yeah.
Like
So
the R9 stuff supports it.
So if you guys are buying stuff, make sure it supports, I guess they call it inverted F port, which is actually uninverted F port. But that if you're doing Tyrannus, make sure you buy that in the future because that's what you're going to need to do proper, I don't know, support for Tyrannus with telemetry and stuff like that. Spectrum, the receivers work awesome. Their old receivers work awesome. So there's no
Except
issues
for
there.
fail-safes.
Futaba, they're really crazy stuff. I don't think that's gonna be supported.
I don't even know
Does Utah even do
if
telemetry?
anyone even uses
Yeah,
Futaba
but it's
receivers on
like
their Futaba.
some
I don't know if they do
weird
that.
stuff.
I don't know. I used to do Futaba receivers.
Oh, well, you might be
Back in the day, but then but I mean, I also had the only Futaba radio that did not support Crossfire.
That's
So out of all the Futaba radios, they all support Crossfire except for the one that I have, and that's why I haven't flown it in about a year and a half now.
But and Crossfire will look if we have an RX1 broken up, we can probably support it. I don't want the stuff to necessarily hold stuff up in the future. We're gonna have processors that make this way easier, but on this board, it's kind of silly. Some of the stuff we're doing, we're trying to get away from that hacky stuff in Falco. So if we don't support something, it's because it can't be supported properly and have it work the best it possibly can. We don't want anything slowing down the flight code or doing stupid stuff like that.
Especially because the new processes we're looking at are like absolutely next level. Like leave F4s and F7s in the dust.
Yeah, pretty much you can like use them on your desktop almost. So like 10 to 20 times faster than what we're using now, and literally the board cost won't increase that much. So that's the plan. Don't stop buying boards now. It's not coming out next week or next month even. But that's what we want to go towards. Then we can do some AI crap, which is gonna be really neat. Which means no tuning, no filter tuning, especially. People ask about logging. I mean, honestly, I can make the quad tune itself better than you can tune it with a log. So to me, that just really doesn't make any sense. So we're going to spend our time on that.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the only thing that logging is really good for is like trying to pinpoint like major issues.
Which we'll have something like that. But the new Revolt OSD lights don't even support logging.
Yeah,
so.
but like I feel like a lot of people try and tune based off black box, and I think that is just such a rabbit hole that no one should go down.
We definitely do not believe in that. The easiest way to tune is with the OSD. Go out there, just freaking raise your P slowly till it oscillates to the moon. and bring up your D slowly till it there's no bounce back or anything. But tuning is so much easier in the OSD in the field. Tuning with logs is just a nightmare.
Yeah,
I don't want to say it's stupid, but I feel stupid. Like it's just you're not going to get a good tune that way. I mean,
I think the problem too is like, how do you even really know what you're looking at?
and I don't want to tell you like matching the set point exactly doesn't make sense because you aren't the best with your sticks. You're not a robot. You're not going to move your sticks exactly how you want them to move. So if you're matching it a little too closely, it's going to feel very robotic and not have a good feel. So
it's definitely one of those things where it's like if for example, if we were a computer program, if we were programming like a Mars landing, for example, we would want the set point that we have calculated throughout the descent to match what it's actually doing. The problem is that that's not what we're doing. We're just bashing sticks around, and the sticks get translated into like a 1,000 to 2,000 signal that then gets transferred to a 0 to 100%, that then gets transferred to a degree per second set point. So like if they're just basically working off that, you're not actually thinking when you're flying, I would like to go to 10 degrees per second set point, and then I would like to transition over the next 0.1 seconds to a 160 degrees per second set point.
And I can think of one really good reason people want logging is to figure out sim mode. So good luck, people.
Yeah. No, it's yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that was a fun. I think I was the one who realized about the whole when we first created sim mode, how we were like, before we let it out, we gotta make sure we don't log everything.
Yeah. Like I mean, truthfully, I think no matter, even if you have the logs, they're not going to figure it out because, but
you can't.
But I think that is one of the motivations for some people asking for logs. They're like, ooh, let's figure out how to clone that.
Yeah. No, but logging, especially doing logging specifically for tuning can definitely be a very deep rabbit hole to go down when you basically fly based off feel. So you should tune it based off feel.
And to be honest, we don't use a full PID controller. It's called a motion controller because it's not just doing PIDs all the time. It does use PIDs for some of it, but which is why you tune them. But a lot of it is a little bit automatic. That's why sim mode works so well. So you're not tuning everything. The quad is calculating some stuff on its own. So you tuning with a log wouldn't help you because you don't know exactly when that's happening. And if we put that much information in there and told you how sim mode works and all the other stuff, then maybe you could tune better with a log, but it would still be better to tune by feel because that's what you're going for. You're trying to make it feel good or the video look good. You're not trying to make it match the set point exactly. And I think people have the misconception that's what you're trying to do, but that's not really what you're trying to do. You're trying to get it there quickly, but not exactly down to the nanosecond.
And even then, you like, for example, I like to have it. You know, I remember the very first thing I did with FalcoX was adding an RC smoothing, because with how quick it would react to everything, I almost couldn't even fly. Like, I can't fly FalcoX without any RC smoothing. It's just so reactive to me. So like pilots like me, I actually don't enjoy having it be so incredibly overtuned to where it's so responsive it just tracks every single movement that my sticks do.
But the key is we do want the quad itself to be able to get to the point quickly.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is the magic sim mode. The quad needs to have that control so it can even get rid of oscillations and things like that. But you're not trying to tune your sticks so the quad matches it exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
If that makes sense, it kind of does and kind of doesn't. But so logging, maybe in the future it's going to be our own special logging format. We're trying to move ourselves away from the typical beta flight experience, as you would say, because we don't want people to be dependent on having to do all this work to get a quad to fly well. I personally want to just take my quad outside and fly. If I could just buy it completely assembled, when it breaks, just sell it and buy another one, that would be my dream. And I'm hoping to make that a reality one day. There might be a lot of used quads for sale when we start making ready to flies.
Yeah, do ready to flies. You'll have
bind and flies, I guess.
You'll have one half of the business be for buying your binding and flies, and the other half for selling your broken used ones.
I'll be like, oh, I dinged a motor. Okay, who wants this one? Time to list it on eBay.
So someone wants to know whether the new Dolphins, the ones on back order, will all be DJI compatible.
All of them will be DJI
Well,
Dolphins.
Wait, but
As long as they're
Yeah.
not been filled in this batch, I think.
and even though if they ordered them and they said back order, a lot of them did get shipped out.
Yeah, so we shipped
So-
everything we could ship right now. And if you haven't received yours in the next week or so, or if you haven't got notified it's been shipped, which I think we've been able to ship everyone that hasn't asked specifically for the DJI one. So if you asked for the DJI one, we're going to ship you the DJI one, hopefully.
And I think people who placed their order like maybe late yesterday, early today, those have not been filled. I think everyone else is pretty much filled except for.
So a little secret, if you have a Dolphin and you want to add DJI, just remove the rear standoff and it will fit. So that's what I did originally. What we've done in the new Dolphin is we've moved the rear standoff back about a half an inch, which is actually perfect. The DJI thing goes right in the back. The wire is exactly the right length to get to the front to plug into the camera. It is like a perfect fit like that. But for now, if you have the old one and you want to do DJI, it does work. You just remove the rear standoff. It doesn't need that standoff. It's for decoration.
It's for mounting your antennas off of.
Yeah.
That's what I use.
Which you don't mount them off of that with the
Oh yeah,
with DJI. So
yeah, it's fancy.
So there you go. That's why it's for decoration at that point.
Yeah, it's a decorative standoff.
Yeah, it's you know it's an open-ended quad. Anything else? Any more questions before we move on to the next topic?
Not that
I think that does go into more about DJI though.
Yeah, there were a few questions about DJI, but
Okay, yeah, go ahead. What is the question? What any question that we have so far? Why don't we go ahead and kill them?
Well, I think we should just talk about the current support for DJI. And
Okay, all right. We're going to
That's
talk
what
about the
they're
current
about.
support for DJI. So, next topic of conversation, DJI support. So, right now, we support the voltage going to the OSD. And, of course, now that you have a configurator, you can set up your quad as well. So, we have everything that DJI currently supports with the exception of changing the PIDs because their PID system's not exactly right, and the way they do it is clunky. And it's not a great interface. So for now, you're going to want to use your phone or your laptop in the field to change your PIDs. Like I said, they are currently working. We are in constant communication with DJI. We're going to get the code in there so we can actually control the OSD directly. Once that's in there, you're going to have full support of every single thing you have on a non-DJI quad. The DJI is cool stuff. It's a little latent. But other than that, it looks just amazing. So I can understand people wanting it. I'm actually converting most of my Willy quads to DJI. I think DJI Willie over here wants to do a DJI quad too.
Oh yeah, I will actually be making a DJI quad myself within the next week, and I will be giving a full proper test as well.
I kind of feel like you're going to carry one of these mics around with you.
I am
With a little speaker.
yeah, exactly. The mic sounds so good. Yeah, I'm just gonna carry a little speaker around me so people don't hear my real voice; they just hear this.
I got to say, our new setup is pretty spot on.
Yeah, this is like a Joe Rogan show we got going on
Yeah.
here now.
I mean, you don't have very good video, but we got amazing audio, so
That's all that
that's a
matters.
plus.
As long as I sound good, I don't have to look good.
So, anything else you can think of, sweetie?
someone asked. They're asking if there'll be Bluetooth.
Yes, so Bluetooth is supported with a special app I have from SpeedyBee. So it is the SpeedyBee adapter works great. It's going to be what we use for apps, something similar, maybe even that exact thing. I'm not even sure I'm going to reinvent the wheel on that because it's so cheap. We'll talk to SpeedyBee and see what we can do. But it will work. It's going to be a little slower with Bluetooth. The updates are slower. It's a little more clunky than directly plugging it in, but it does work. And of course, we're going to make it so it can change the variables and everything else as well. I'm not sure where Nick is going. He's
I think he's
looking.
gonna try to break the camera.
Oh, okay, go give it a shot. Let's see what happens. He's
So
plugging in
someone-
power into the camera.
Someone asked, do you think that HD VTX are soon mandatory for racing or just long range freestyle? I think we lost.
Now you know
Disconnecting.
why I
There we
didn't do
go.
that, Nick.
Yeah, so we did not get another battery.
There's
What?
another battery downstairs.
What?
Do you want to just go grab one?
Is it getting ready to die, or you just?
7%.
Okay, so give us 1 second. I'll answer some questions while.
You think it would realize that's a battery and not a computer?
Oh, did you completely screw us?
Oh.
Okay. All right. Look,
Well, I need to go grab a
in
battery.
Andrew's room, on top the thing, there's a bunch of the little batteries. It's the little one, not the big one.
In the
Yeah, on the
in my workroom.
on the thing.
shipping
There should
area.
be a bunch up there. All right. So what's the next question? I answer that while Nick gets a battery.
I think it's basically if
Okay, you can handle that when you come back. Now, what'd you say, Preston?
I think they're basically asking if we think that the HD VTXs or HD, I assume in general, will be big for racing, or if it'll mostly be a freestyle thing.
I do not see it being big for racing unless DJI starts forcing everyone to use it. It's a disadvantage. It is more latent for sure, and it also is heavier. And everyone's going to lighter and lighter quads. We're working on a frame right now for Evan, and we're like making it super lightweight. I just built my Evan quad, and I think what was I at? Like less than 250. Oh, 250 on the nose with everything. 250 grams, all up, minus the battery, of course. And so everyone's trying to go as light as possible because when you pull weight off, you go faster, you turn a little sharper, your quad doesn't have to work as well. So adding the extra weight from the DJI doesn't make as much sense. Also, people go through hardware like it's free when you're racing. So using a $20 camera instead of a $180 camera, I mean, I know that includes the RX, and it also includes the VTX, but honestly, it's VTXs you can get for $20 now.
And that has to assume that you're going to use.
And no one,
DJI's
yeah, and the
but-
radio is not that great, so no one's going to want to use the radio.
Yeah.
Here you go. So I don't see it going for the racing except for races where I think the FAI race, they're probably going to try and
FAI.
force it. FAI is it, right?
Right, Nick? FAI.
There've been talks of it, but no.
But that's not even confirmed yet. I think for a certain kind of racing, it's going to be cool. I got an idea for a race that would be great for DJI, but I don't foresee it like completely taking over the market. And the other reason is sub 250 gram quads. I don't see making the weight on those. So in places like Canada and where you have to be 150 grams, or places like Europe where it's makes it easier if you're on 250 grams, I can't see it happening for those. Is it working better, Nick?
I have to reset the interface.
So someone said they meant.
I
Do
mean,
you
like,
plan to put
remove it from
Bluetooth
OBS
into the
and-
next FC for wireless config?
Actually, we're looking into doing Wi-Fi into it. So Bluetooth is slow. Basically, if you get certified with Apple, you can do faster Bluetooth. But the certification is expensive, and you have to pay for every device that you sell once you certify it. But actually, Wi-Fi, and that's one of the reasons like some of the cameras use Wi-Fi, is much faster. You don't have to pay or do anything special. Get certified to use it. And Wi-Fi chips are going to inexpensive too. So actually, I think Wi-Fi might be where we're heading for that.
Oh, we got a
Like, I'm pretty sure.
And of course, when you arm, it'll disable the Wi-Fi,
Yeah.
so it doesn't interfere.
There
or
we
anything.
go. Willie is back in action.
And we got some video. All right. So anything else? Any other questions, Andrea?
Nothing.
How about you, Preston?
I mean, someone's asking when the configurator will be out, I guess.
If you're asking about the configurator, the very first build will be up when we're done with this live stream. So right now, I know it works with Windows 64-bit. I know it works with Mac. Someone named Noah made it. He's helping us out. His name's in there. Noah, is it Walder? Is that his last name?
Waldner.
Walder.
Yeah.
At Swiss_fries
Might be saying
on Instagram, I believe.
Yeah.
That's right. Swiss
Give a
fries.
nice shout out. We'll also have to make sure we give you his information. We're going to do specific videos on the configurator, a specific video on DJI, maybe in between flights. I don't know. We're going to get them out quickly, hopefully. So there'll be a video more broken down on that stuff, but we'll put it up. You guys can start playing with it right away. Keep in mind, it is alpha, so alpha equals will be bugs. It has not been tested, so there's going to be bugs. Just get ready for them. We just try and make them not too catastrophic.
Yeah,
basically.
and usually if you're like, hey, there's a bug. It's gone by the next day.
Yeah. Probably by the time you've complained about it, we've already uploaded a fixed version. We're pretty quick about responding to them, but if not, that is why Discord is very important, because if you're alpha testing, you really should be in the alpha channel, because people report them there and we report back right away when we fix them.
Yeah. And yeah, exactly. So, and most of the times, I would also put this out there. Most people in FPV, when they hear a bug, they think return to China mode. But usually it's bugs like, if you tab over to a screen on the OSD, it doesn't go there and it freezes.
Yeah.
These aren't like, oh my God, your quad's going to cut your hand when you.
Yeah.
I mean, we
kinds of
have
bugs.
safety mode for a reason. It pretty much cannot get ridden the way it works. So we should never have any crazy kill yourself with your quad bugs.
And to give everyone an idea, I mean, we test fly every build before we even give it to anyone.
So we test it well here, but that doesn't mean we're going to find all scenarios. It's just like when we release hardware. We can have 20 people test the hardware and there's no issues. But we put it out in the market. You put hundreds out like our ESC, and we might find some issues. So when we test hardware, we try not roll out a huge batch right up front, because we know there's going to be issues. Other manufacturers will do a huge batch and they'll just keep selling them and not care. I know there was one very big ESC that was that way, that was just catching fire continuously forever. But it's because they did such a huge batch. I mean, what do you do at that point? You don't want to lose all that money. I mean, that's like $100,000 you might lose.
Yeah, and you're like, we'll just keep selling them and hope that they all don't catch fire.
Yeah, and then don't worry, they'll buy a new one.
Yeah, exactly. And hopefully, when they buy the new one, it's the batch 2.
Yeah. So we try and test everything well, and try and circumvent any issues like that. But
yeah, so it's a question posted by, I believe, it's Josu Torres. I think that's how you say his name. I know he's a very avid FalcoX pilot, and actually very good pilot in general. He's asking if we can do a PID conversion website, like the rate conversion website for the new PIDs scaling that we use.
Yeah. Oh, let's I guess segue to the new PID system. So yes. I am very excited to not have magic numbers in our PIDs anymore. Before, we were literally just randomly multiplying our PIDs times crazy numbers to try and get them in a certain range, A, and B, because we've had magic numbers since the day we started race flight. Because some people thought magic numbers were a good idea, like our filtering back then too. And my goal was to get rid of anything like that. So we have rescaled our PIDs. Now, the PIDs are actually the PIDs that are being sent to the flight control at this point, with the exception of their scale. So maybe we multiply times 1,000,000, maybe we divide by 100,000. But the actual, there's no magic numbers involved. That means we're not multiplying times 25 or 3.2 or anything like that, which makes it way easier to tune. So now, and before, each axis was different than each other axis. So your roll and your pitch may not be exactly the same, even though they should be.
Yeah, so that was the weird thing. Like you're usually on most quads, your pitch P is higher than your roll P. But on the Flight 1 quads, it was the same or sometimes lower, because then it got a magic number scaled into it to then make it higher.
So maybe we had good intentions, but we had magic numbers built on other magic numbers, built on other magic numbers. It was a real nightmare. So we rescaled them. So now it's kind of simple. Roll and pitch usually are about the same. I know you just said it'd be higher, but in general, I've seen them being about the same. I think if you use a squish dex, you might need more pitch P, maybe. I don't know. But in general, they're going to be similar ranged.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think on a freestyle quad, pitch is probably going to be higher.
Yeah. So your pitch is usually like 10 to 20% higher on average.
But that's pretty negligible amount. So for most people, you're not going to even notice as much, I think. But that's why we give you the tune. So we're going to do that work for you. But in general, P and I actually work out to be pretty close to the same, which is kind of cool. We've noticed so if those numbers are in the same range, they're probably pretty decent. And then it seems like D is falling between 3 times P and 4 times P. So we've seen some tunes work as low as 3 times, some tunes like 4 times, and I've seen them in between. We rescaled all the tunes in there. So don't freak out when you see the new numbers, because they're rescaled. But yeah, we can probably release a converter to do it online. That should be pretty easy. But it's going to be based on the really old tunes, like probably a month ago, I would say. I mean, it's not really old, but we tried rescaling them in between now and then. So it's going to be based basically on the numbers that were in the beta. You can rescale those with the calculator. And yaw, there's yaw. I think it's usually a little higher than roll and
Yeah,
pitch.
Yep, usually.
But then again, and y'all, we've noticed you need some D on bigger quads, but on the smaller quads, we've actually started turning off D. I don't know. We were told in race flight days that we needed y'all on D. We left it on there this whole time, and to be honest, I think that was a source of some issues like hot motors and things. Is having the all D. We've been turning it off on all our race quads, and we haven't really noticed an issue. I do think maybe like on a 7-inch build or some other ones, it's nice to be able to have that ability.
Yeah, and I mean, I think if you're getting really picky with your tune,
Yeah, so
I mean, it's
like
definitely-
if you want this amazing freestyle tune, maybe you might have a little bit of LD. But on the racing for sure,
Yeah.
I don't think you're gonna need it.
I mean, I've started turning off all my freestyle stuff, and I have noticed
I mean,
zero difference.
you also use defaults. Oh, I'm sorry. High
You
power
can't tell.
tune.
You can't tell the world. Well, I mean,
So-
sometimes you do.
So
high power.
Nick's tune is my magic tune,
Yes,
which I made a long time ago. So I'm
the classic low power.
yeah
low power
power.
tune.
I'm sorry, low power.
Yeah. Well, actually, it depends.
So-
Sometimes I fly low power. Sometimes I flash it, and I'm too lazy to go change tune and just leave it on default.
So I'll tell you what. What's funny is people get their thing and they're like, "Oh, I don't have a low power tune quad. I have a high power quad." So they put the high power tune on right away, and it flies like crap. So don't be afraid to admit that just about every quad we all own is a low power quad, because all that means is we're making the PID stronger, and of course we're going to err on the side of caution. The high power tune is literally for 6S 2300 kV.
on like a 250 gram race.
Yeah, like it's
Yeah.
crazy quad time. You don't have that quad. If you do have that quad, your ESC is not under warranty because that is way more than 50 amps per channel in 4S, which is how an ESC is rated. So while we're on that topic, your ESCs, all ESCs are rated for 4S. So when you see a 50 amp ESC, that means 4S. So basically, if you take your 4S voltage, which is what is it, 16.8?
16.8 at a full charge.
So you multiply that times your amp limit, which is I think 50 amp on our ESCs ish, you get 800 watts. So your ESC is capable of 800 watts essentially. So when you do 6S, you would basically divide that 800 by the voltage. So in terms of 6S, we're adding an
25.
extra 9 volts.
Yeah. So basically, you have 1.5 times less amp rating when you go to 6S.
Right. So that makes it, what is that, like 30 amps, I think?
Yeah,
Something like that.
whatever 1.50
maybe-
divided
yeah,
by 3
Yeah,
times 2.
maybe someone in the comments can do the math for us.
100 over 3, it's like 33.
I'm not-
33.33333
Yeah,
repeating,
okay.
of
So
course.
I was pretty good. Pretty close.
Can't forget the repeating.
you
So
repeating.
yeah, so
Yeah, that
it's
won't
30.
look that
If you 33.4, you've now exceeded your amp limit.
Make sure to not forget it's repeating, of course.
Yeah. So keep that in mind. You probably do not have a high power quad. You probably don't even have the quad the defaults are meant for. That's a pretty powerful quad.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was tuned on a.
That's like a good race quad, like a high power. That's probably like 5S 2300. I think is what the tune is. And
I'm pretty sure it's exactly
Yeah,
what
I
we
think-
tuned it for as a
Yeah.
5S 2300.
I think I made that tune in Germany for
Yeah.
DR1, where
It
that
was
came
on
from.
Oh
the
yeah,
one
well, you're
quad.
like, oh, I don't want to have to go retune this quad, so just make it the default.
Yeah, exactly. Well, no, because it was good. We worked on everything. Essentially, the defaults are made to work on everything, and that's exactly what they do. Especially now, the default has the Nick Willard dynamic filter, which, by the way, is not scaled on your stick inputs. Sorry, it's not the same as what's been out there. It is actually dynamic, and it's a secret on what its logic is, because we don't want everyone running out there and cloning it, but it works amazing. I think it's a great job. I don't know. Do you want to say anything about it, Nick?
I just
You want to say your acceptance speech for a nomination for your
no, I
dynamic
just
Emmy?
think, yeah, no, it's nice because if anyone's been on the Facebook page in the last 6 months, it's always hot motors have always been the thing. Everyone's talking about hot motors or oscillations, and 99.999% of the times it's just because they're running default filtering, and our default filtering was very, very low for a long time. And So we wanted to basically find a way to increase the filtering so people don't get hot motors, people don't have oscillations, but we wanted to make it so it doesn't kill the stick feel either, because if you start filtering way too much, the sticks get all kind of laggy and wonky donkey feeling. So the dynamic filter is supposed to be kind of the best of both worlds.
So we've not only that low yaw D plus the dynamic filter is just like, I think the default tune is now finally working on just about everyone's quad, which is pretty cool. I haven't heard of quads it doesn't work on now, so I think that's pretty neat. But what's cool is we've preserved the feel of the quad with the dynamic filter. We don't have bobble, and we don't have laden sticks. So I think we've achieved what we've wanted. You can probably tweak the dynamic filter a little bit, but we're on our way to fully automated filtering. I think we're really close at this point. So we'll see where people end up putting the numbers for the dynamic filter and stuff. That'll help give us input for what we want to do in the future. But the dynamic filter is really close to what we hope to have our final filters be. So
Going
unlock my iPad.
Like the mile-long change log since the last Falco.
Are there any questions anyone see that?
This person said they have their first Revolt OSD just arrived. Can't wait to build my first Flight 1 quad. Moved to 6S and Betaflight is giving me a nightmare. Any suggestions for the first build?
Just watch my build video. If you build, here's the deal. You can build crazy. You can put stuff on top of your flight controller. You can lock it down with nuts and do all this crazy stuff that I don't recommend, and your quad may fly great. But the way I've said to build, I never built a quad that way that didn't fly amazing out of the box. So that's what my build is. It's like, if you just do this, it's just going to work. People like to argue, oh, I didn't do that and my quad flew fine. Yeah, maybe it did. But I want a solution that works on every quad, every build I ever do. So to summarize it is basically, make sure you use O-rings for spacing, make sure stuff doesn't touch, put your VTX and RX off the stack. Usually I double side tape it to the top plate. They unplug easily, which is one of the reasons I like connectors if you need to work on it. But in general, don't put, if you want to put like one nut or two nuts on it loosely where it doesn't clamp it down, I'm okay with that. But in general, just, treat that gyro like the princess it is. Let it be by itself and isolate it, and it's going to work the best, and your quad's going to fly the best. Any build tips you guys can think of?
I don't know. I just follow your video whenever I build, and that's worked great so far.
So I think that's just real important. That's why I put the video up there. It's on our YouTube page. Search for Flight 1 on YouTube. But hopefully that summarizes it.
I have one specific way I build my Dolphins, and I built like 7 now. And if I build it the exact same way, they all work totally fine right from the get-go.
And again, that's what I'm going for. I want it just to work every single time. I hate diagnosing problems. I just hate it. So
I don't think anyone likes diagnosing
Here's a problem
problems.
someone asked about, though.
Okay.
I had some weird problems trying to get FalcoX with my Revolt OSD and Bolt V2, where it does the setup, but at first and second arm, it doesn't arm. Any ideas?
Because you probably need to change the ESC protocol to multi-shot
They may
on a
have
Bolt
picked-
V2.
Yes, they have BLE32 and it's a different
Yeah.
default.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
just make sure, because that is a very common issue, and you need to make sure that your protocol is multi-shot, because the default
Or D-Shot 600.
or D-Shot 600.
And I will tell you, we are aiming all our future stuff at BLE32 because it lets us change the settings on the fly, and it lets us do D-Shot 32 and D-Shot 64, which I guess I can explain what that is, but it is the future. I think BLHES is officially dead, in my opinion, but it will work. Just use multi-shot is what I recommend.
Yeah,
It's
I
the
would
fastest.
definitely just run
Yeah.
multi-shot because it's
Koopa's not gonna
BLHES
work.
has never had great
Yeah,
D-Shot support.
no turtle mode support.
Wah, wah.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. Oh, that was underwhelming, but
so that's what we recommend, and it should work okay. Anything else, Andrea?
Not specific ones right now.
Okay, so I guess let's go over D-Shot real quick while I'm thinking about it. But
Oh.
D-Shot has always been named in weird names. It has to do with the pulse width. Is that what it is, Preston?
Is it bit rate?
Well, they name it off. Yeah, they name it off the bit rate
The
technically.
bit rate,
So like
which is
D-Shot
equivalent,
24,
the pulse width has to do with that. But basically,
Yeah.
it's how many bits a second it can do. Is that what it equates to?
Yeah.
1200. Okay. You're using an analog line to do digital protocol too, which I won't go into that. But it's just confusing because all we really care about is we want to know if it's capable of matching our gyro speed. So if we're at 32 kilohertz, we want the ESC to get information at 32 kilohertz, right? Because that just makes sense. If it doesn't, it's going to fly different. And so we are naming our D-Shot according to that. So it is 32. It is capable of 32 kilohertz, and it's going to be running at 32 kilohertz. If it's 64, the reason we call it 64 is it's technically capable of 64 kilohertz. The ESCs right now only support 32, but if they supported 64, we would send it at 64. So basically, it gets the information twice as fast because it can send double the amount in the same amount of time. So maybe it gets rid of a little bit of latency, which probably is not
And it
noticeable at all.
would
But
help improve possible packet loss.
but yeah, but there's no
Kind of,
retries, so
yeah.
that really, and if anything, it might make packet loss worse because the pulses are shorter, which can more likely to have jitter in them. So you can try 32 and 64. 64 is supported for sure on F3 ESCs. D-Shot I'm okay with it. I wouldn't say I love the protocol. I don't like the idea of using analog lines when we have digital lines on our flight controllers. I'm not going to rant about too much. I don't understand why we haven't used our digital lines with our ESCs if we're trying to do digital protocols.
I mean, there is a port on the millivolts OSD for a digital ESC.
Yes, and we do not use it. There's an SPI port, and actually, we can even use our serial orts and go like pretty fast with something called LIN, and we don't. Basically, it doesn't make any sense. SPI would be the absolute best. I know we can make it 2 inches with SPI, guys. We can do it. So in the future, we're going to do our own ESC, and we're going to support it because when Falco is stable, when we feel we've got a release, we're turning our attention to an ESC because I feel like this is the biggest place we can improve our quads is our ESC now. And we try and work with the BLHeli guys, but they have their own plans and their own things they want to do, and it doesn't necessarily align with what we think is best. I think that's why Flight 1 got started in the first place, is because our ideas never aligned with Betaflight developers, and we never wanted to try and convince the entire world we're right, because we just know we're right, and we're going to prove it, and even if we're wrong, we believe we're right, so it's much easier not to have to argue with a huge group of people when I can just order around Nick and Preston. But I think we all believe the same things. We all believe that we want to go as fast as possible. And we all believe we want the code to run as fast as possible. We want to be as least latent as possible. That's been our philosophy. And we want to be as easy as possible. So those are our tenets, I think. So that's what we're doing. So the bottom line is D-Shot 32 means run at 32 kilohertz. I officially declare multi-shot as dead unless you have a BLHeli ESC.
In which case, it is the only thing alive for you.
which is, you don't know about anything else because you're like a caveman. But D-Shot is the best thing we have right now, and I do recommend it. So D-Shot 64 seems to fly great on our new F3 ESCs. That's what I would use. Maybe one day they'll actually make the retries work. It would be nice if we sent double the amount of patch 64. So if it failed the CRC, it would use the next packet. Alas, they don't do that, but hopefully in the future they will.
Yet. They don't do that yet.
But that would be why we want to do 64, because we get double the amount of packets that can be sent. I think right now it just does a hold. So if one fails the CRC, it probably just holds the last packet instead of getting a new one.
It's like a ESC failsafe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Pretty much.
So
don't let your ESCs failsafe on you.
So I'm going to quickly, hopefully, go through the changes on here. You guys can ask questions if you have any. One thing is we've added support for the new Spectrum receivers. The new, they're pretty cool. They're small. They use a new protocol. It's not my favorite protocol in the world, but it is a new protocol. It does some new things. I could rant for hours about what the best protocol would be. I mean, if we could have a fixed length protocol that's sent really quick, like S-Bus. S-Bus is actually a really good protocol, but it's just sent slow. Then we could be the fastest. Maybe one day we'll have our own radio and our own protocols, and we can do what we think is the absolute best. But right now, it's a really good protocol. It's good radio. The IX12, I think, is that the only one that supports it right now?
No, I think everything supports it because it's same frame time or whatever. It's still 11 milliseconds.
Oh, okay. So, but yeah, so the new receiver is supported. So check it out. Try it out. I know it's a new flagship receiver. One thing we've done that is very, very cool, and I know Nick loves this the most, is a new way to cap the throttle. I'm going to do a little explaining of how it works, and then Nick can explain why he loves it so much.
And it's funny, speaking of that, I actually have to shoot a video for my YouTube about this exact thing right after this is done.
Good luck. But
I'm using this mic, by the way. I don't want to steal it.
He's going to carry that around everywhere he goes. So the way it works is we actually cap the motor outputs, which it just makes sense. Instead of capping your throttle, we don't allow the output of the motor to be too high. So if you want to use that high kV quad, but you don't want to fry your ESC and your motors, you can use this limit, and it works amazing. And Nick can tell you what he does with his quads, which is mind-boggling. Do not try this on Betaflight. Do not try this with a radio throttle cap, but it does work amazing in FalcoX. So go ahead, Nick.
Yes. Well, I have heard people say there is technically a mode in Betaflight that does the same thing, but I have not seen amazing results yet. But I can attest that I now have 3 or 4 quads that are running 6S batteries on 2500 to 2700 kV motors, and it is only possible because you use the throttle cap, and if you cap it at like 60 to 65%, it's exactly the same as running like an 1800 kV motor, but on 2700 kV motors.
Yeah, so I think you lose a teeny bit of efficiency, and when I mean a teeny bit, probably like 1% or something.
I haven't noticed. There's an unnoticeable efficiency drop.
So you literally can buy, you have all these 4S batteries laying around. You can buy 4S motors, but when you switch batteries, you can just change your throttle cap. And in fact, I've said this, we need to write it down before we do a release. We need to make it just detect the battery. So we can have different caps for different battery sizes.
Yep.
Nick, that can be on your to-do list. That should be an easy one to do.
Put that one on.
And that's one of your favorite things. But so this is amazing. You can use any battery on any quad. I think that's just an amazing idea because I have all these different batteries. I would just love for it to just set the cap automatically. And I think we're going to have to add that right away because that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, I think about that. Right. So in Falco Saturday, we're going to have automatic detecting the throttle caps.
I'm predicting by Monday we might have that.
Most likely. Well, it depends how much time we spend at the global qualifier tomorrow, because that is a huge productivity killer. But we're going to set some fast lap times.
We need to go to bed at a decent time, too.
Oh, my God. Yeah, we can't. No playing Apex till 2 in the morning because we have to be up at 5 in the morning.
God. Okay. So, well, hopefully not 5. But yeah, early.
This is why I don't do multi-GP racing anymore.
Yeah, they just bring him out while they're feeding him grapes to his DRL races.
Yeah, well, usually it's I request apples because I like Granny Smith apples, but I'd take grapes if they messed up.
How about those new cotton candy grapes?
They
are amazing.
Really,
you know what? Just stop watching our live stream right now. Go buy some cotton candy grapes because they were amazing.
Absolutely fantastic.
They're not very keto friendly, but you can sneak a couple. All right, so there we go. That was version 1270. So
we're so far behind.
1321. Ooh. We've added a lot of VTX related stuff.
I think we could just go over all that once. I mean, because there's some SRLX stuff or whatever that we got added later too. So, I mean, so you can change all your VTX channels now through Spectrum. It works with the older protocol and the newer protocol. As well, all the VTXs, the newer TBS VTXs that use Smart LED 2.1 and the Tramps, you can actually turn the video on and off with a switch now, which is really nice for racing, or I don't know if you don't want your VTX to get too hot, I guess, when it's in there. I don't know.
So put your VTX on TX3 to hook this up. What's cool about this too is now with the phone clients, if you want to go in there and change your channel, So you power on your VTX. I think we can do that now, right? We can set the channel in the menus. So then when they power it on, it would be in the right channel.
I think it's technically not working right now, but it's I don't know what the
You can't set your channel in the menu.
not without the VTX.
Yeah, I think the VTX is
Ooh,
powered.
okay.
As of right this
We're going
second.
to add that one to Preston's list.
Well,
Yeah, that is not a Nick list kind of item.
Yeah. Nick, sorry. But go ahead, Preston.
Alright.
So that'll be a cool thing because then you can don't have to worry about doing it on the back of the radio. It will be set up the default power on, but you can turn on off your VTX, which is cool too. So you can plug in your VTX without having to worry about blowing out someone as well. It'll put it in pit mode. So
Or off with the Tramp. The Tramp, I think actually the TBSs do pit mode, but the Tramp just like straight up cuts video.
it actually puts it out of band.
well, TBS does not go out of band anymore.
Ooh, TBS just goes to really weak now.
Yeah, on their own channel.
Can you not go to out of band? Now?
Not on the
So what channel?
newest ones.
Ooh, so actually the other one goes out of band, which is
But
pretty
the
cool because it can go to
TBS
low
do
band.
seem to go low enough power that it works fine.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
I've
yeah,
been
it's
using
so
it.
hard to blow someone out like when it's in pit mode. So pit mode,
And you would be
you don't need. And speaking of which, not to go on a tyrant, those stupid VTX switches are pointless. All the VTXs now support this stuff. Don't waste your money. Buy the cotton candy grapes instead of the VTX switches. Because they're straight up waste of money. We can all do
And
this.
even
in
like
Falco.
with the case with the TBS, I mean, you would be on your own channel anyhow, so you're not going to affect anyone.
Yeah.
else.
So he's saying you're in a team race, you're on your own channel, but it doesn't matter because like literally, if you get 3 inches away from your VTX, you can't
Yeah.
even see it with a patch.
You
so
literally pretty much have to be touching the antenna,
Yeah.
and even then, it's weak.
So yeah, no need for VTX switches whatsoever. I have never used one. I never intend to use one. We're not putting them on our flight controller because it makes no sense. Just buy a VTX that works, which is just about every good VTX in the market now. And if it doesn't support that, it just don't even race with it because it's not a good VTX. So I highly recommend the TBS VTXs we've always used. I've learned some stuff about the Tramp stuff. As soon as I can convince Tony to fix some things like putting thicker tape so they can mount flat, they're amazing VTXs too. I think they're the only actually. I know they're certified. And I know they have like a little cage around them. I don't know if TBS ones do. On some of them they do, some they don't. So
Well, I don't think any of them have.
I don't know if that plastic one might have considered
think-
a cage.
I think maybe they consider that.
But Tony's has a cage that it keeps all interference down, which is pretty cool. The immersion VTX. So I actually didn't know about some of the things Tony's VTX can do. That's I guess for another time. But it's kind of cool some of the things it does. Like that wand, I didn't realize, and I don't know. Did I tell you this, Nick? You don't have to power up your quad to change the channel.
you didn't know that.
No.
Yeah, that's the whole point.
Well, Tony
the
is an
wand.
amazing person on social media because he really got that message through.
Yeah. Well, anyone who's at Drone Nationals 2016 knew that.
Oh, I knew it didn't work with my pods.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta like actually physically tap.
Yeah, so that
No
was fun.
no pods
and,
allowed.
and puts it in some. Yeah, but we're gonna do some better support for his VTXs to enable some cool stuff we can do. But for now, that's good. One thing I've noticed on here that we did is now the OSD makes it black
Oh yeah, that's
when you go in the menus, which is a huge innovation because I don't have to worry about
Yeah, I used
covering
to.
my lens.
I used
It's
to
way
actually.
easier to read.
I actually started saving the lens caps that come with like your FPV cameras. I used to just throw them away because why would you ever want to put a lens cap on? But now I would actually need them to like go change the settings before the screen went black to actually put the lens cap on, and so I could actually see all the stuff on the OSD screen.
Now it's automatic.
And now it does it's an automatic lens cap whenever you
Yeah,
want
so
it.
little guy pops out of the ground and puts a lens cap.
Yeah, that's how it works. We're trade secrets. Okay, so we fixed some bugs too. We've fixed some VTX support stuff. We have now removed the FIR2 as the default, right?
Removed.
We've completely removed it. I forgot. We have done. Nick has took out his nerdness and a pencil and his whiteboard, and he has calculated the filters are the same between the FIR2 and the frequency. Essentially, from what I understand, they work out to being the same thing on the output. Is that correct, Nick?
Yes, basically, if you were to put the same things into both filters,
But
you
it
end up
takes
getting the same thing.
a little less time processing on the frequency over the FIR.
Yes,
am
and
I
the
saying that right?
frequency is a more general, common what you should use filter. The RCFAR2 was a cook-up kind of filter I think they made when they were testing the fast Kalman filter.
Yeah,
Trying to find equivalents.
they
for
were
that.
trying to, and we put it in because we liked the output. But we have done testing since we've tried it. Like I said, it's a little less processor intensive, but gets the same output. So there's no reason to have the FIR2 in there anymore. So we have removed that one. Some interesting thing when we're discussing is the way filters work. It's super simple. Is basically they save the difference over time between your sample and the sample they have, and they average in the difference of the current sample. Is that saying that about right? That's about dumbs it down.
Yeah. So
So that's what a IIR filter does.
yes.
So it's really mathematically simple, to be honest with you. It just depending on how much they weight the old samples, what the new sample is, what the frequency is based on. The more they weight the current sample, the higher the frequency of the cutoff. The more they weight the old samples, the lower the frequency. Am I saying that about right?
Yes.
Okay.
Basically.
So that we get to have a lot of filter discussion here, but that's how it works. There is also what's the other type of filter?
FIR.
FIR
finite
filter.
Impulse response.
The way that would works is it actually averages the samples. So that actually works more like our anti-aliasing stuff. So that's a different type of filter. But that's essentially how filters work. They're pretty simple. Just think about filters as averaging data to get out any big spikes because it's doing an average. So a really big spike can actually have a bigger impact than a smaller spike. But overall, it's just to keep the data moving slower, not having these ripples, basically, these huge spikes up and down. So that's how the filters work. That's our other filters, our dynamic filters, or change the frequency on the fly and some other things. And we also have a predictive filter that is completely different. It actually predicts the future. It uses the current sample and what it thinks it should be, and it comes with a new sample. I think when we come up with faster processors, that's going to be the place we spend most of our time. Would you agree with that, Nick?
Yeah, it is very. I've tried this actually. I made a custom bin where I messed with the predictive stuff.
Yeah, because spoilers. I put some magic numbers in there one night, like I did with sim mode, and we have yet to find better ones. I think I'm inspired by angels when I do this stuff.
Yeah, so I've tried. It's possible to change the numbers and tune it and make it better, but the tuning window can be very precise, and there seems to be no specific method to follow tuning. You kind of just throw in random numbers and random ranges, and
because
once you get one that works, then it's great.
Because it's essentially weighting the prediction with the current stuff. So it's the weighting, and we found like the perfect amount of weighting between the two. But when we have more processing power, I think we can actually analyze stuff.
Yeah, once you get more,
and we can input in more input like accelerometer input and other sensor input. We can even put GPS input in there technically.
Oh yeah,
I don't know how
GPS filters
that may be, but
that 10 hertz filter.
Yeah, that's going to be pretty slow. But there are some other filters like optical flow sensors and stuff too. I think you can input in there.
That would be. I'm all about optical flow.
Yeah, so they are coming in the future. We are going to have all that cool crap in there because it can be very useful for us. It can make our quads fly better and plus do some other cool things. So that about summarizes that. The FIR is now officially dead. Long live the frequency filter. Well, actually, long live the dynamic filter. Hopefully, the frequency filter will be dead eventually as well. So yeah, the biquad for some reason never works on the main stuff. It's two filtered, I guess.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I mean it's basically the same as two.
It works great
filters.
on D. Yeah, but it never works well. No, but it's weird because a single biquad doesn't even work well. I guess because the frequency adds too much latency because it has to be on the same frequency.
Yeah, no, it's well. I've also noticed one of the things about those being too filtered can be just as bad as not enough filtering.
True story.
So I've run into this. Especially
we've had this argument. Me and Nick
mode.
have had this argument a lot where I'm like, no, if I put the cutoffs too low, it flies like crap.
Yeah,
and he's like, oh, that doesn't make sense. I'm going to math you right now and show you you're wrong.
I've ran into these yesterday. I was trying to tune, especially with whisper mode. Whisper mode needs like way less filtering for it to work right. If you have
it needs more data. Whisper mode, the way it works, I've said this before, but it decouples the axes. It doesn't make them interfere with each other. It's a hack, a dirty, rotten hack right now how I do it. But when we get more processing power, I can do it with math. Yeah.
We can unhack it with math.
But it uses less math and more magic right now. But it does work amazing. I think Blackbird's tune uses it. And I love the way it flies. But so that's the gist of it. Sometimes too much filtering is bad. And I'm glad I've taken you over to my dark side. where math doesn't hold up all the time.
Yeah, no, it's odd. I have definitely put too much filtering on and wondered why my quad oscillates to the moon, and then put normal filtering on, and it was totally fine.
So there we go. So let's see. We have adjusted D-Shot 16. Is that still in there, Preston? Or did we remove that?
Yeah, that's still
Okay, so one thing we've noticed and didn't realize is D-Shot 16 on the old stuff slowed stuff down to 16 kilohertz. I mean, we knew this, but it didn't occur to us on the old stuff. So what'll happen is you'll take a tune made for D-Shot 16 on the old stuff, which won't even scale now. I guess if you make a converter, it will. But it just flew like crap because it basically made the PIDs too strong because they're running twice as fast, which I think on P, it doesn't matter as much. But D and I, maybe it does because they use the time domain.
Yes.
So I think that's why. So we've actually made D-Shot 16 actually run at 16 kilohertz. So if you want to try and use the old tunes, which we do not recommend, make a new tune for goodness sake. Just base it on defaults.
Nothing translates over.
Yeah.
From
But
from what I've
if you
noticed.
wanted to, it does that. In the future, I'm guessing we're probably going to remove D-Shot 16 altogether. Hopefully, eventually, we'll get everyone off of the old ESCs and onto the new hotness, and we won't have to worry about some of this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we've been trying to phase out BLHES for who knows how long. We still haven't gotten there quite yet.
I mean, the problem is everything's written in assembly, and that sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah, no thanks. I will happily never write a single line of assembly code in my life.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll write some, but one day you'll be that nerdy.
Yeah, that is like the absolute nerd test. There's one checkbox. It's can you speak assembly code?
There are some things it's good for, like a delay would actually be good for. So we've adjusted the filtering for the current sensors. We've adjusted the filtering for the battery voltage. Now we're trying to make the battery voltage move quicker because people don't like it over filtered. But the key is we need our special filter on there to actually trigger the right voltages and actually show the good voltages. So our battery bar actually works. Using a battery bar on voltage is actually better than using on currents because every time you charge a battery, you don't know how much milliamps you put into it. As the battery breaks down over time, it holds less and less. Also, you don't know what size battery necessarily put on there, but voltage should always be the same. You should always land at the same voltage. The same voltage should be about the same amount of capacity. It kind of hangs out at one voltage for a significant amount of time, but that's like your half full range, so it's actually pretty good. So the key is we want the right of filtering with our special algorithm that actually shows it go down. Some people think when the voltage dances around, it's actually showing true voltage. Nothing could be further from the truth. What you're seeing is the inability to read the voltage. That's why the worse your battery is, the less likely you're going to see the true voltage, because basically the motors are sucking down all the juice and there's no juice going to our basically our voltage sensor is how I would put it. So our sensor our algorithm tries to take that into account and represent the real voltage, not the skewed results you're getting from not being able to read the voltage. Does that sound about right, Nick? Would you agree with that?
Close. I mean, technically you are reading the true voltage. You're not reading the resting voltage, and the resting voltage is what matters. You want to land basically with your batteries at 3.6 volts a cell.
We're reading the voltage we're able to get to the current sensor.
Yeah,
is what it is.
There's a ADC.
Yeah.
Yes,
But
yeah,
it's
you only
not
have a
the
certain
voltage
amount of
of the
watts.
battery. It's
no,
the
that
voltage
is the battery
of
voltage.
No, but it's the voltage of the circuit.
No, but it's the whole battery. If it says 12 volts, that means your LiPo. If you put a multimeter on, that would be 12 volts.
No, it's because I'm telling you, it's because it can't read. There's a different term for it, and we can Google later.
Okay.
But I'm telling you, that is the voltage potential is what we're representing,
Yes,
not the voltage of the current system.
they should be the same.
No, they're not.
We'll math it out.
It's
later.
like let me give you an example. Like, okay, if you have a pipe, okay, and you put a pinhole in the pipe, if you're just dribbling the water through the pipe, water's just going to come out that hole, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you put a super high pressure system on that pipe to force the water through, water won't necessarily come out the hole. It'll bypass it.
That's not. I don't think that's true.
It is true.
I don't think that's true. I'm gonna make
We're
a
going to
pipe
do an
right
example.
now.
We're going to do it. I'll show you. You'll see.
I can guarantee you, if you take one of those like high pressure water hoses and you pop the tiniest hole in the side of it, it's gonna spurt right out the side.
It depends. There's a certain amount of pressure. There's going to get to a certain point where it's so much pressure, it'll do it.
Well, if you guys ever want a
We're going to do
pressure sensor inside of a pipe, then we can do that. But for voltage,
But the point is, we need to know. Bottom line is, we need to know the voltage to land at. That's the only reason we want voltage, right? We don't want it for any other purpose. To know when to land.
exactly.
Use voltage for any other usage?
No,
I don't
it's
know.
literally just to figure out when the battery's dead.
Yeah,
And
so
3.6 volts per cell is time to land.
Well,
I do 3.6.
you can go lower.
You can go lower. I do 3.6.
Well, I mean, technically, you should charge your battery to. You learned this the other day. What voltage?
4.1? Yeah,
4.1
per cell.
And land at 3.6, and your batteries will last a very long time. If you're practicing or freestyling, do that, and you're going to be amazed how long your batteries last.
Yeah, you can like triple your battery life. And your internal resistance will thank you.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, we push our stuff way too hard, and the difference between 4.1 and 4.2 point cell is it's nothing.
I mean, the difference between like 4.2 and like 4.6 that some unnamed people who charge their batteries to
Yeah.
is like nothing either.
I've seen many fires for that extra 5% of battery life.
Yes.
I feel like so. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense, and it literally kills your battery like literally every heat you're on a new battery. One day they're going to make it outlawed where you can't charge it past 4.2 at races. I would think that would be the biggest innovation in racing we've seen in a long time, because then no one will do it, and
That
batteries
used to-
will last
that used
way
to be a
longer.
rule.
I'm pretty sure the battery vendors have gotten rid of that rule just so they can sell more batteries.
No, I remember in MultiGP there used to be a specific rule where you could not charge above 4.2.
They also used to not.
that was
let you
limited
use
to
6
4S. That was the problem. And so they got rid of the 4S limit,
Yeah,
and they're
and they're
like,
just-
well, we're just no limits.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
absolutely no
see.
limits.
Okay,
Yeah, so
I've only been
I
racing
forgot which one
MultiGP
you
since like the 4S limit days.
Yeah, so I long for those days when every race I go to, I don't see at least one battery fire. I have never been to a race since that I haven't seen at least one battery fire.
Are you saying that tomorrow I should be expecting a battery
You
fire?
will. In fact, the last race we were at, someone was charging right next to someone's head, and the battery exploded. So that was great. He was sitting down low in the chair like this. The table was right here. Battery was literally 12 inches from the guy's head. Then people were like, "What's that noise?"
Oh,
And luckily, we jumped up, grabbed the battery, and threw it in time for it to explode in the grass. But that could have been very bad. So let's not. Why don't we charge batteries away from people's heads?
yeah. No, I charge them personally in my shirt, so when it pops, you can feel it. You can feel it start to.
That way, you
detonate.
don't waste any heat.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's a
Especially in
good.
this
That's a good
hot-
idea. I like the way you think.
These hot Arizona days, you know, you got to keep all the heat you can.
So I don't even know. Oh, we're talking about the filtering. So let us know. Give us feedback. Maybe we need to tweak that some more, but hopefully it's in a good spot. We've added some things to the OSD like throttle percentage, self level mode, self trim mode. Oh, we've added self level mode. I don't think that was in there. Well, I'm thinking of that.
Yep.
That's thanks to Wild Willie over there.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, getting that was. Well, actually, getting the level mode itself working was like an afternoon. But getting the attitude update was a month-long endeavor of me pulling my hair out before I was like trying to take a bunch of shortcuts, and the shortcuts never worked. And I was like, all right, I'm just gonna do this the long way and the hard way. And that only took like 3 days after like a month of trying shortcuts and it failing horribly. So that was more of a life lesson I learned with that one.
So using the accelerometer, we also have G-force, which I'm pretty sure Evan Turner flashed his quads, the latest stuff, just to see.
Yeah, Evan is the only reason we have G-Force meters, because he messaged me personally. He's like, hey, I need you to add this because I need to make a competition and show people I'm pulling more G's than them. I'm like, really? You want me to take time out of my day for your little competition? Absolutely. Of course I will.
You're going to have a lot of people messaging you soon.
Yeah.
He likes bribery. I'm not sure what you can bribe him with, but I'm
Cotton
sure it's
candy
possible.
grapes.
Yeah, cotton candy grapes. That's like my new weakness. Oh,
Yeah, they're so good. They're kind of expensive, but worth it.
Yeah, definitely.
Save the money from your VTX Switch. Buy some cotton candy grapes.
This is not a bad idea.
There you go. We need to eat dinner soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was talking about this. I'm like, God, I'm starting to get hungry.
I'm starving. We added the launch angle to the OSD. We've also added some of our team pilot rates. So try them out if you're racing. They might make you faster.
I actually really like Evan's rates.
They are actually pretty good.
I gotta give it to Evan.
And he has equivalent beta flight rates too for the simulator. Even though I hate the simulator, but it's kind of nice.
I love. Wait, which? When you say the simulator, which one do you mean? Because there's like
Which
three.
simulator?
There's
do you
only
think we-
one simulator anyone uses that's not a DRL.
It's the DRL sim.
Yeah, not that one.
Yeah.
I only use a DRL sim, but only because I have a Racer 4 that I built in that I practice with all the time.
And not everyone wants their sim to fly like a Racer 4.
Yeah, not everyone wants to basically fly a tank around for hours on end.
Yeah, a school bus is less of a tank, I believe.
Yeah, definitely much closer. Well, I think a school bus can drive on highways, so we can get pretty fast. Tanks, they top out at like 35 miles an hour.
Yeah, but a tank can take. I mean, I did shoot a Racer 3 out of the air, which was pretty.
Oh,
cool.
I did see that. Oh, actually, so I will admit, the Racer 4, I was out practicing yesterday, can definitely take a hit. I had about a Mach 6 impact into a metal bench and was literally able to just plug another battery in and keep going. So they definitely
All
more
right,
tanky,
all right.
less school bus.
You're selling me on the tank. We'll see tomorrow. I'll tell you what, I will concede the tank if tomorrow you come home with both of them intact.
I can 100% guarantee that.
All right.
Do props count? Props the only thing.
You can kill all the props you want.
All right.
Speaking of which, he never changes his props. They look like literally like the monster came up from underneath the bed and ate them. Like he looks like he has a rabbit and they're made of carrots.
Well, I know I'll chime in on this. So for my development quads, the ones that I flash and try the new Falco stuff on, I use the most beat up props possible because my theory is that not everyone uses nice props. So as long as the changes I make work on my development quad with beat up props, then we're good to go. But on my racing quads and my freestyle quads, then I'll use good props.
So here's what I don't want to hear ever again, or I'm gonna change the OSD. How we can't fly with bent props. Because I've saw his props, like literally half of some of the props are missing.
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah.
It was
Like literally it looks like someone chewed off the ends.
because they did. Because I got stuck in a tree and I just full throttle wobbled it out of the tree. And then once I got out, I was like, yeah, the props are still at least 40% intact. So they have 3 blades technically, so on every prop, so we're good to go.
So maybe that's the magic of the dynamic filter. So if you can't fly on bent props,
Well,
then flash the alpha.
that was how I tested it. I actually just would physically bend my props up and fly it, and that was how I would gauge if it was working or not.
So we're getting closer. So we've talked about the new OSD stuff. There's information in basically I'm looking at the change log, but we've added OSD commands in the console. You can connect with any terminal console, or you can of course use our new client, but you can type some of these commands in, like you can do DFU to get into DFU mode. You can enable and disable the OSD, which makes the OSD start displaying. You can dump, you can set, and you can save, which about summarizes everything we need. I think we added a reset command today to reset your config, which is nice because some people lose their radio or something. I'm not sure what happens, but then they don't know how to clear the OSD.
Sounds like
Someone
something they
had
could
that
do.
problem. I'm not sure. I can't fathom what happened there.
Well,
You sold your radio and you're like, shit. What am I gonna do now?
Like, my board's bricked for life.
You're
now?
like, someone had a really smoking deal on IX12, and you're like, I gotta get that
I
radio.
mean, what you would do is you would DFU flash to flight 1 and then back to Falco.
Yeah, that's
and
actually what I told them to do. Which is, we've made it so when you DFU flash, it doesn't erase your config,
Yeah.
which actually is better 99.9% of the time unless
Until
you
I
sold
start-
your radio.
Or until I start changing things that I didn't keep up with and having bugs in my code because I didn't realize the dynamic config did not reset your configurator.
Yeah, that's weird because we usually rename the variables though. So that
Yeah, but
doesn't
no,
happen.
but I'm learning, man. I'm
He
learning.
knows that now.
Yeah.
I'm learning the ins and outs of the trade the hard
Oh, I
way.
see. Okay. So that about summarizes that. We've added support for the new GGI. I don't remember what they called it, but it's just faster S-Bus protocol. So that works now.
I don't know what it's called. It'll auto detect just like every other protocol. And I think it does, I guess it does a slower mode and the faster mode. So you need to make sure you actually go and set it to the faster mode, but both of them detect. So
Yeah, so either one will work with the DJI radio. We've tested that, so everything works good. We have a voltage on DJI, so now you can fly around and not have to worry about falling out of the air without knowing what your battery life is.
which for DJI, which we didn't mention, it gets connected on RX and TX3 because you're not going to have a VTX.
So now you can have a GPS and a DJI in the same quad. You can't see anything right now,
Yeah.
but DJI is going to hopefully fix that. But that, like we said, we've gone to specific pins for specific functions. RX3, TX3 is now DJI land. TX1 is now your receiver. RX4, TX4 is now the GPS.
The Gippus land.
TX3 is now your VTX. Of course, you're going to have a VTX and DJI, so that's why. And did I miss anything?
Well, TX6 is technically ESC telemetry, but no one even.
But no one needs to know that. Just it's magic.
You just set
little
the
elves
jumper.
come and do things as long as you
And it doesn't.
So we've talked about that. The GPS stuff, that's in here. We have now made y'all D set to 0. Did we actually allow 0 or is it still 1?
0.
It's 0 now.
Okay,
I hard coded it. I
so
let it go to
now
0.
Nick's letting it go to 0.
Yes.
Did
So
we-
you have no YD, not even just a little bit. You want
We-
none.
And we actually allow the PIDs now to be scaled all the way to 300, I think, Preston. Is that the number?
Depends on 500 on the higher ones, or 500 on D and then 300 on the
Okay,
other.
so you can actually go higher for that because we needed it because we rescaled it.
Yeah, because if you want to run your Yappy 400 times as large as the other one, you can now do that.
Yeah. So that's all taken care of now. And today we had some OSD crashes. We talked about this earlier. We have fixed them. So the latest one is no known bugs, which is a momentous occasion. So hopefully
what about the buzzer? Is that
I forgot about that one. We
We can talk about
we
the
fixed the
buzzer.
buzzer. I'll let Preston explain.
Well,
So that weird buzzer that uses the battery,
The Hellgate
yeah, the
buzzer.
Hellgate buzzer. The way it works is kind of buggy. So Preston will explain, but you can connect it. You just need to connect it differently. So go ahead.
basically we fixed the thing that made normal buzzers work better. So if you're using the Hellgate buzzer, you really want to connect it to TX4 and then turn on pin toggle mode. It's the same way people use their pit switches. It pretty much is actually the same thing as a pit switch, honestly. So if you're using one of those buzzers, that's what you want to do to make it work well. And because of the way the buzzer works, it's technically backwards from the switch. So you'd want to set the switch backwards if it really matters to you. But I mean, it's on or off. I think it's
So the Hellgate's basically a pit switch,
yeah, pretty much.
but it's a BP pit switch.
It's a buzzer on a pit switch.
So do not use the buzzer pads, or it will just constantly go off until
Yeah.
the end of time.
If you're using a normal buzzer, the buzzer pads are fine.
Yes. Also, someone asked, here's a question that we get all the time. Sean Ames asks, why do we connect our RX to the TX1 pad?
Okay, I'm gonna explain this.
Because this blew my mind. Because I had the same question. I was like, why? How can you connect a receiver? How can you connect a transmitter line to a transmitting port? Doesn't that mess things up? How does that work?
So this is the reason I think we shouldn't call them TX and RX. Essentially, a TX pin is really an RX and a TX pin in one. It can be an RX, it can be a TX, and it can be an RX and a TX. So in the case of Spectrum, we're receiving and sending on the same pin. In the case of basically FR Sky, we're only receiving on that pin, and a lot of the other ones we're only receiving as well. So by using the TX pins, we can actually use it on any protocol, period. We can either receive or we can send and receive on the same pin. We will never actually just send on it. The only one that didn't do this the same way, and it's kind of the reason telemetry doesn't work right now, is actually Crossfire wants to use an RX and a TX on the same UART. So on that case, I don't know. Right now, we just don't support telemetry. In the future, we may support it by moving it to a different ORT, maybe even the one DJI uses. But that kind of causes some DMA issues. So for now, we just don't have telemetry. You still have RSSI and LQ or whatever, actually.
But on those new processors, we will not have any more DMA issues.
Yeah, they
finally
should be gone.
Finally, have the end
again,
of DMA issues will be
Don't
gone.
stop buying boards because it's going to be a long time.
That's-
But it is in the future. We got cool things coming, like little flying robots that think for themselves, and they may actually make my coffee when we're done.
Oh, can I make me coffee right now? I'm getting kind of parched.
Yeah, I could use some coffee or some beverages, or some cotton candy grapes would be perfect.
Ooh.
That would be like eating a meal and drinking something at the same time. So don't buy the VTX switches. You don't need them. Buy the cotton candy grapes.
I think that's the largest point we've drilled into people tonight. Of
Yeah,
all the things.
if you get one thing out of this conversation, it's cotton candy grapes are delicious, and don't waste your money on VTX switches. Is that about summarized?
Yeah, pretty much it.
tonight?
There was a whole video summarized.
Yeah. So you didn't have to watch the whole video. You just need to know that. Do we have any other questions, guys, before we conclude today's activities?
I mean, the main question that I've seen is people asking about stock updates. When things
Okay,
finish.
yeah. So we'll end with that. We were expecting the ESCs this week. They haven't arrived yet, and the flight controllers as well. We're expecting a big batch of both. So they should be here hopefully early next week. We're actually going to be in China. Andrea, of course, is not. She does the ordering, so that's not going to hold that up. But if I have to, personally wring some necks and shove the ESC and flight controllers in boxes and get them here, they will be here. We're actually going to China to fix any of these issues anymore. We're going to get processes in place where we're not going to have delays. We should be able to turn stuff around in a week. I don't know why that's exactly not happening, but we're going to get in a lot more control after we go into China. We're talking to multiple factories that we work with and getting everything under control. And we're actually going there to engineer a bunch of stuff to get some new products out as well. So we're probably going to end up going to China more often now. But this one, I promise you, when we're back from China, everything's going to be fixed. We're not going to have these issues anymore. And I, of course, appreciate everyone's patience.
And the most important part is I'm going to get my Flight 1 USB hot glue gun.
Hopefully. They actually call it a hot glue pen.
Oh, that's
Yeah, see,
good
it's
to be
fancy.
politically correct in some of these countries now.
I was telling him, he's talking about, I want to fill my suitcases with hot glue pens. I had a Bosch one, USB rechargeable. It's amazing. And it died on me. So I'm going to go find one in China, fill my suitcase with them, and then sell them, because a USB rechargeable hot glue pen is just the most amazing invention ever, if you ask me. You just put a little dab on each connector. They never come unplugged. You just flick it with your finger if you want to knock off the dab to unplug it. It's just amazing. Who knows? In the future, we may have locking connectors, so that won't matter.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's
Welcome to the 21st century.
but
Connectors
for
don't
now,
just go on their own.
yeah, that would be amazing. It really would. But for now, hot glue is amazing. I want one of those hot glue guns, so I will bring you one back.
Ooh, I hot glue. Everyone knows I hot glue everything.
You're gonna have
Hot
to come
glue.
back to Arizona to get it done.
Hot glue and zip ties are my life.
Hot glue on the lens, not the actual front. Amazing. It'll never come unscrewed. Hot glue in the connectors, never come unplugged. Hot glue on like the battery things so they don't touch, like for capacitor, for example. Hot glue over anything that's exposed keeps it from getting shorted. Hot glue is amazing. Am I missing anything? No hot glue on grapes.
Ooh. You could try that. Never tried it. I mean,
it's-
we've heard of people eat glue before.
It's probably edible. I don't know if I'll enjoy it, especially hot.
Oh, yeah, not with these 116-degree days. Anything hot's kind of a no-go.
Anything else we're missing?
Someone said a terminal interface and remote control for OSD.
I'm not sure what that means.
I'm not really sure what the remote control part means.
Yeah, but we'll go over all that. We'll do another video, but we're gonna put it up, and I will try and do a video quickly on how to use it as well. So we'll have that soon.
I think that's it. You have nothing else?
Anything else,
Was that
Vinny?
the whole changelog?
That was the abridged version.
Oh, I was about to say, I was like, we
mean-
were scrolling through the things that have happened since the last one. We're like, may as well just do a.
I hit the highlights.
Yeah, the highlights are really all we need.
I mean, we're an hour and 45 minutes into this live stream. If you're still on the live stream, I feel like we should give you a prize. But we won't. Although
People
everyone
are
that's
asking
still,
for cotton candy grapes in their orders now.
if I could send them, everyone that's on the live stream, type right now in the live stream before I hang up, and I will pick someone and award them something in all the live streams.
Ooh.
So right now, here, everyone type
Maybe a certain
your
word.
favorite thing about Flight 1.
No, I want your favorite kind of grapes.
Okay.
If you don't write.
I want to know.
You're
I want to know
disqualified.
if you think you will be like cotton candy grapes. I will tell you.
What should you save your money for?
Yeah. Tell me what you're not gonna buy. Okay, that's it. Tell me what you're not gonna buy so you can afford some cotton candy grapes. That's what I want to know.
Yeah, it's like the exit slip in class when they ask like what did we learn today? And if you don't write it down, like you can't leave class
Yeah,
yet.
there you go. So what aren't you gonna buy so you can afford cotton candy grapes? They're like $8, or I don't know. Is it a couple pounds? I don't know. How big do you think one of those bags is? I don't know.
Oh God, I'd say a pound, 2 pounds. I don't know.
I think the one we had was about 1.5 pounds.
Anything less than 5 pounds to me is 1 pound.
Oh.
There's no in between. Like 1, 2, all rounds to 5.
So there we go. I'm gonna look in the comments and see what you're not gonna buy so you can afford cotton candy grapes, and also let me know if you like cotton candy grapes. And I think that concludes our live stream slash what do we call this thing? I can't even think. Podcast. That's how hungry I am. We're probably going to put this up as a podcast so you can just listen to it while you're driving down the street as well. We'll see how that works out.
If you guys want to hear any more rambling on any other topics, let us know.
Yeah, we'll hopefully cover it in the next one. Nick's going to sneak this mic in his luggage home. So.
Oh, yeah. This baby's coming with me. You guys this is the last time you see this thing.
I think we're sponsored by Rode Podcaster Pro, which has just been amazing.
Yeah, it's been very, very easy.
We're going to hopefully all the audio is going to be recorded on this when we're done. And it really was amazing.
Yeah, it's like, oh, audio is corrupt.
Yeah. So we'll let you know if it was amazing or not. But I think it's pretty amazing. And I think, does anyone have anything to add before we go?
I believe that's all. I have nothing else to add.
Just maybe that the ARC ones were printing pods, so if you have those orders, it'll go out as soon as pods are finished printing.
So there you go.
The printers are running literally at full blast. It sounds like a robot army downstairs right now when you walk down there.
And if everyone doesn't know, you can get a Wild Willie Dolphin for
one.
$35, which is by far the best deal on a frame of all time.
It's kind of got to the point where it's like kind of a no-brainer.
Yeah.
You're getting a new frame.
Willie can't
$35.
afford cotton candy grapes because of how cheap we're selling it.
Yeah, I'm actually have to go on a cotton candy grape hiatus because we now make no money off the frame.
Yes.
But everyone else gets to have a sick flying frame.
We think it's super important that people realize how big a difference the frame makes, because that is the biggest pet peeve when people say the frame doesn't matter.
Yeah, I used to be one of those people back in the day when I thought, I had a cheap $15, $20 Banggood frame. It's flying just as good as those aliens. That is
I'm giving everyone on the internet permission to slap the next person that tells you that.
Yeah, I have had many, many clones that I have seen and used, and I can pick out one from a mile away. I mean, the first test you can ever do is you pick clone frame and you twist it by the motors, and I can guarantee you it'll twist 3 to 4 times as much as the branded frame. Yeah, and that there's like that.
And even some brands are different too, so keep that in mind. And then I think the race frame is one of the, for $25 is one of the most smoking deals on the planet too. That might be a better deal.
And $20 for the 3-inch race.
And it's $20 for the 3.
One.
That's crazy too.
Literally a single $20 bill will get you a 3-inch race frame. I think that's what Sean's flying almost exclusively now, isn't he? He's all 3-inch.
Evan only flies those right now. The fastest time on the multi-GP leaderboard is set with that $25 frame.
Are you really?
Yes.
Oh, the Arc 1?
Arc 1.
Not the 3-inch.
Nick's talking about the 3-inch.
No, the 3-inch. Oh, yeah, Sean's trying to convert.
Yeah, Sean's trying to
that says something. If Evan can kick everyone's butt, like literally he does 3 laps in the time it takes me to do 1 with that frame, that's a very good frame.
And don't forget Flight 1 flight controller and DSCs.
And FalcoX with...
and the Wild Willie motors.
Oh, yeah.
That is game changer.
If speaking of which, before we go, 2300 kV is the sauce.
Yeah, no, 2300 kV is the conclusion I have came to is like the perfect kV for any motor.
If you want to just take it easy, just do some cruising, 4S 2300 kV, it's just amazing. You want to just step it up and just really like feel good, 5S 2300 kV, and if you just want to blow your mind, 6S 2300 kV.
Or wait, here's the easier and cheaper solution that I have been doing. You only buy 6S batteries and you change your throttle cap based on what you want to do.
Ooh, good point. Good point.
Because now you can finally be able to basically, if you want to cruise it, 60% cap. You want to fly normally, 80% cap. And if all of a sudden you want to teleport to another dimension, you don't run a throttle cap.
Yeah. And I stressed your ESCs.
Yes. Teleport into another dimension because your ESC catches on fire and opens a wormhole.
So don't go fly 6S 2700 kV and be like, Nick told me I could do it.
With a
now my ESC
cap.
died after my 7th flight because, they don't like that as much. You can do it. Just complain to Nick if you do it.
Yeah, no. Throttle cap. Throttle cap.
You need the throttle cap. And not just any throttle cap. Not the old Flight 1 throttle cap. Not the old beta Falco Flight throttle cap. The newest alpha throttle cap in Falco.
Yeah, any throttle cap and any of the Falcos will do the same thing. And also another thing I want to point out is that with the way the throttle cap works, that actually if you take a 4S quad and you tune it then you put a 6S quad and the throttle cap, you won't even need to retune it. Your tune should technically transfer over and be the same.
Mind blown.
Yeah, so you don't even need to retune. You don't need multiple profiles for.
I think you
tunes.
need a clap for that.
Someone says they Amazoned the grapes, and someone else said they're not going to buy the DJI so they can buy cotton candy grapes.
That's a lot of cotton candy grapes.
Wow.
And someone said now that the frames are cheaper, they have money to buy the grapes.
Hey, look at that. See, I'm telling you, this is like this is gonna be the next meme for 2020 is about the new cotton candy grape revolution we're about to start.
Yeah, they are amazing.
They are very good. Actually, we probably shouldn't have told anyone because now they're gonna be out of stock everywhere.
Sponsored by Cotton Candy Grapes.
We're gonna have to rip out all of our grapevines.
Dude,
and
if
find cotton
someone
candy
brought
ones.
us Cotton Candy Grapes, the qualifier tomorrow.
I'm about to go get some cotton candy grapes right after this is done.
I think we
I'm
need
worried.
to bring them to the qualifier.
No, God. Well, we can bring them for us, but we don't tell them we have
We'll
cotton candy
tell them that
grapes.
regular grapes no one wants.
Yeah, exactly. Tell them they're raisins. Or you could technically, yeah, these are pre-raisins.
Well, what's weird is I think the Cotton Candy Grapes are like as sweet as raisins, but not condensed.
Someone asked, "How do you throttle cap in FalcoX? Is that something you can?"
It's
sum
on
up
the
quickly?
motors page. So if you go into the OSD menu, it is on the motors page, and it is called throttle limit. Throttle limit?
Something like that.
Throttle. I'm 99% sure it's on the. I know it's on the
Something
motors
limit.
page.
It's pretty obvious once you're in that.
Yeah, it's on the motors page. It's like the third one down, and it's called throttle limit.
And by the way, let us know,
It's just a percent.
is our audio as amazing as we think it is?
Oh yeah, tell me if you like this. Today on FalcoX, you are going to learn about throttle caps.
Are we missing anything else?
I don't think so. I think that's pretty much everything. That's like an hour, almost 2 hours of the nerdiest conversation I've ever been a part of.
And
I'm
talking
sure
about
that's not
grapes.
true.
You'd be surprised.
I mean, when you were back in college, were you talking about grapes with your nerdy conversations?
Again, you'd be surprised.
All right, so that about concludes our podcast. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being patient with us for how long the orders have been recently. We just wanted to get the ESC really right and not have any issues with it, so we've been doing that. And of course, buy your $35 Wild Willie frame, or your $25 Arc One, or your $20 Micro Arc One. And I guarantee you'll have the best flying quad ever. Throw a Revolt OSD in there, some BL Heli 32
Build it the
Magic.
same way that follows the build video.
Follow the build video. And if you don't have an amazing quad, I will personally buy you a cotton candy grape.
A single cotton.
A single cotton candy grape.
Preston will personally tune your quad for you. Isn't that right?
I hear you love receiving quads. Nick says he'll tune your quad if you send him a pound of cotton candy grapes with it.
I would actually go for that. If you send me a pound of cotton candy grapes with your quad, I will tune it for you.
There you go. You heard it here. And they can't turn into raisins on the way to it, Nick.
Yeah, if they show up as raisins, it is game over. I'm gonna detune it, make it the worst flying quad ever.
All right. So anything else we're missing, sweetie?
Nope. Just a lot of people talking about cotton candy grapes and where they can buy them.
Good.
I'm glad you've all learned the primary lesson in this live stream. It was good live streaming. Let us know message us or whatever. Let us know anything you want us to talk about next. Hopefully we can do these more on the regular. Nick's going to have to do them for when the toilets flush the opposite direction.
Yeah, well, the toilets flush the same way, but the light switches are backwards. That really
don't they?
tripped me
They
out.
swirl the other way.
What do you mean?
They go this way instead of
They
this
don't
way.
swirl in Australia. They're all like jet propulsion style toilets. Every single one.
Shoo, high-tech Australian toilets.
Yeah, I know.
They need to flush those big spiders.
Yeah, yeah. You basically need to start up your rocket engines. to
One
get those
other
spiders
thing I've
down.
learned today is you're live in the wrong country with your girlfriend, because New Zealand has no snakes, and no spiders.
No country has any snakes, from what I know.
But that just blew my mind.
Yeah, no, New Zealand's nice. New Zealand's
And it
very,
has
very nice.
4 sheep for every human.
Also, not surprising. I saw many, many sheep when I was there.
I hear you can get mutton even in Subway.
Get what?
Mutton?
What's-
Sheep, lamb?
Mutton?
Mutton.
Oh, mutton.
It's not tin, it's mutton.
Mutton. Yes, you can. Pretty sure.
Little
Yeah. They just go, that's what they write actually on the board at Subway when you're trying to choose what meat you want.
that's how you secretly order it. There you go.
You can get chicken, beef, or
All right, we're moving on. We're going to end this thing right before we get to the 2-hour mark so we can feel like we didn't go too far.
I know we've been too far.
All right, it was good seeing everyone, talking to everyone. If you have anything more to add, let us know. All right, we're ending the live stream now.
Bye, guys.
See you guys.
All right, so hit stop on everything, sweetie.
Facebook gets a 5-star broadcasting experience.
Whoa, why do I sound normal again?
No, my voice is gone.
You're like, now I gotta hear my manly voice.
Yeah, now I sound like a nerd again. No.
Nick's gonna move to Arizona just so he can use the mic.
I'm telling you, that's like Facetune for your voice.